Now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Leisure versus Rodriguez step forward.
Timothy Leisure and his son, 18-year-old Nicholas, are suing Nicholas's former friend, 19-year-old Joseph Rodriguez, for tow and impound fees and for crashing a Mustang.
Mr. Leisure, this car was owned by you but driven by your son, is that correct?
It was owned by both of us.
When had that car been purchased?
September of 2017.
And what kind of car was it?
2001 Ford Mustang Coupe.
How much did you pay for it?
I believe we paid $2,400 for it.
And your son drove it for a year and a half or more?
We bought it in the September of 2017, and he drove it until the accident.
Which was on what date?
May 7th, 2018.
You had decided that you wanted a different car, is that right?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez was a friend of yours?
Yes.
And he offered to buy the car, or you asked him if he was interested in buying it?
Yes.
On what date?
I'd like to say it was a week or so, 2 weeks ago before the accident. He was talking to me about being interested in the car.
On what date did he take this car, you say, for a test run?
I would say May 3rd of 2018. No, it would have been May 7th that he picked up the car.
Okay. What happened on May the 7th?
He wanted to borrow the car for work and take a test drive just because he was planning on buying it. So I let him borrow.
He wanted to borrow your car?
Yes, because he was thinking about buying it, so it was sort of a test drive.
He was thinking about buying it, and he took it for a test drive, and you had an accident.
Yes, ma'am.
And the car was towed?
Yes.
Was it totaled?
Yeah, it was totaled.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Didn't you contact the tow company? You, owner of the car, on the title, did you contact the tow company?
No, I did not.
Well, that's foolish. You're the only grown-up in the room.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Timothy Leisure and his son Nicholas say Nicholas's former friend, Joseph Rodriguez, wrecked their Mustang while on a test drive.
Now, did you let your friend know that you had totaled his car?
Yeah, when the accident happened, I texted him right away.
So what did you do?
I let my dad know, and I asked him what he wanted to do because we had to either drop it or leave it in the tow yard, and I asked him to take care of that for me.
He can't take care of it for you. He can't take the car out of the tow yard because it's not in his name. He's not permitted to do that.
Your Honor, when the accident happened, the tow company gave Mr. Rodriguez the opportunity to have the car towed to a personal residence. However, he didn't...
You can't tell me for that. First of all, it's hearsay.
Yes, ma'am.
Second of all, you were notified on the date of the accident, correct?
I was notified a couple of days after the accident.
Well, that's your son's fault.
Yes.
Well, if you were notified, and they are clearly two idiots, why didn't you take care of it and have the car taken before it built up all these impound fees?
Mr. Rodriguez had told me that he would take care of the impound fees and get rid of and have it taken care of.
He can't take care of it because it's not titled in his name.
Right, because we were in the process of selling the car to him.
No. That's wrong. You were not, according to what your son said. He was borrowing the car to go to work, and he was thinking about buying it. Thinking about buying it doesn't give him access to take it out of a tow yard. That would be up to the owners of the car. That would be the grown-up, the only grown-up in the room. That's your problem. But you had an accident with the car. You take care of your own tow fees. He's not taking care of that because he had no ability to go into the tow yard and get out your car or to contact them. Didn't you contact the tow company? Not you. You, owner of the car, on the title, did you contact the tow company?
No, I did not.
Well, that's foolish. You're the only grown-up in the room.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. Bird, I know that this is ancient. Would you look up the value, please, of a 2001 Mustang? Mr. Rodriguez, did you give him any money towards the car?
No.
Is there a reason why you didn't?
Yes, I had. I was paying other bills that I had with Corey, and I couldn't pay because all my checks from work would go straight to my bills. So I had to pay court bills with other tickets I've had.
You mean while driving a car?
Yeah.
See why you're the only grown-up in the room?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Good.
$239.
$239?
$239.
Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. We're done.
Your Honor, I have text messages from Mr. Rodriguez stating that he will pay for the entire balance.
$239. You're the grown-up in the room. Go and take care of your car. Somebody who doesn't own the car can't take the car out of towing. Grown-up should know that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. We're done.
All right, Judge Judy, you may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I think it was fair.
I was trying to be as cordial as I could.
They swerved onto my lane and I had to avoid it, and that's what made me lose control.
Pay me $50. Show me that you're responsible to get this taken care of, and he never did.
Don't borrow anyone's car.
It's a lesson learned for both of us. We'll just move on.
This should be a wake-up message for everybody out there.
Who's watching your elderly parents or grandparents?
You looked around to see if someone from the agency could fill in for you.
Yes.
How did you find the plaintiff?
We were friends.
Then more troubling signs.
How many days did she work?
I know she was not there most of the time. There was money missing, food stamps missing.
I'm not convinced you worked.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Deanna Clark is suing her former friend, Lori Broyles, for unpaid health care services she provided for Lori's client while Lori was on a trip.
Order. All rise. It's case 220 on the calendar in the matter of Clark versus Broyles.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Broyles, tell me who you work for.
Donna Scheffler,
Individually or through an agency?
through an agency.
You had been taking care of this lady for a long time.
Yes.
And you wanted to go away for a period of time on Mother's Day to see your mother?
To see my daughter.
You see your daughter. And you looked around to see if someone from the agency could fill in for you.
Yes.
This Mother's Day weekend. You couldn't find anybody through the agency.
Yes.
And you found the plaintiff.
Yes.
How did you find the plaintiff?
We were friends.
Do you have any particular training in taking care of the elderly?
Not
No.
medical
That's
training.
either yes or no. Either you went to nursing school.
No, I did not
you
go
went
to any
school.
schooling.
Nothing. Do you know if she had any particular training in taking care of the elderly?
No, I know that she was trying to take the steps to become a caregiver like myself.
Good. So she hadn't done anything in order to fulfill the requirements to be a caregiver.
Yes.
But you asked her to fill in for you anyway.
Yes.
And she did. And she wants to be paid for that time that she filled in. So my question to you is, from when to when were you away?
I was away May 13th through May 23rd.
For 10 days.
Yes.
And was your arrangement with Miss Clark that you would pay her for the days that she worked?
If I got paid.
Nah, that sounds ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You mean she worked for 10 days?
She did not.
How many days did she work?
I'm not exactly sure, but I know she was not there most of the time. My witness went to see Donna. He's a friend of hers as well. The 2 times that he went to visit her, she was not there. There was some other guy there. There was money missing, food stamps missing, medicine
Listen to me. I don't
all over
know
the
that.
place.
I don't know that. All I know is you hired her with an arrangement to pay her.
Which I paid her $100 before I left.
Just a second. Well, $100 for 10 days translates into $10 a day.
Right. I was going to pay her more. I was going to give her my wages if I got paid, but she knew as well.
Don't tell me what she knew. Listen, Miss Broyles, I may look dumb, but it's just an illusion.
That's
If you
that's
got
the
paid,
arrangement
if
that
you
they
got
had with
paid,
me.
listen to me carefully. If you got paid, that would have been because you submitted a time card indicating that you were there for so many hours. That would be the only way that you could get paid. So you would have had to submit a time card to your agency and say, the job was covered for those 10 days, pay me. The agency would have paid you.
Which I did not.
Well, you don't look like a philanthropist to me. You don't look like somebody who would say, I'm going to take out 10 days worth of wages from my pocket to pay you to take care of this old lady. You don't strike me as that kind of gal.
There was never that kind of arrangement. This program gives their caregivers 5 days paid vacation every 3 months. They denied me because it wasn't in advance. So they denied me. So I didn't get, and I did not try to collect those hours from my agency either because I did not work those hours. I can't work those hours and then give her the money I get for it.
Listen, 5 days paid vacation amounts to how much money?
Roughly $400.
How much did she tell you that you were going to be paid?
$500, $200 before she left, and $300 when she got back.
So she was supposed to pay you $500?
Yes.
How much did she pay you?
Nothing.
Were you there covering the job every day?
Yes, I was. If I wasn't, there was somebody else there while I did do the job outside the house.
What kind of jobs outside the house?
Going to the store, getting ice for Donna.
Okay. Doing your own thing. And who was the guy that you left there?
His name was Mike.
His name is Mike what? Don't guess.
I can't think of his last name.
What do you mean you can't think of his last name? How did you find him? Who is he?
He was a friend of mine.
You mean you left an invalid old lady?
No.
In the care of a male whose last name you don't know?
No. Actually, he went to get the ice. There was a lady named Diana there that Lori had, I guess, I don't know how she got her in there, but she came and sat with Donna for a couple hours on that Monday. And
I'm talking about the male that was there when you weren't there. When he came there...
Actually, I'd never left him there by himself with her.
You mean you and Mike stayed there together?
No, he was there...
Mike? So he wasn't there at all? I mean, you have to get your story straight.
The thing is, I don't
care whether you've seen him or not.
Okay, but he never came over.
Where did I get Mike from?
I don't remember his last name.
You don't know?
I don't remember his last name. He was a friend of mine. I was overwhelmed, so I called him to help me out.
You were overwhelmed? Overwhelmed with what?
When I first got there Sunday evening on Mother's Day to watch Donna, she was covered in Jell-O. She was soaking wet from
her not being there all day.
Because I was working already. I asked you to get somebody else in there to cover
Clark,
that day.
I am not predisposed to help you. I'm just telling you that.
I don't remember.
I'm not predisposed to help you. I was predisposed to help you until about 30 seconds ago. I am no longer predisposed to help you. I believe that when people work, they should get paid.
Right.
I'm not convinced you worked.
She worked.
I'm not convinced how much you worked. And I'm not convinced that you had the best interests of this lady who was your charge in your heart. Do you understand? So I am not predisposed to help you. And since you can't prove to me that you were there every day for a certain number of days, because you can't. I know you can't. I don't know how much you were there. She says she didn't get paid. Forget her. This should be a wake-up message for everybody out there. Don't rely on strangers to take care of your elderly parents. What? What? You want to say something to me?
Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed.
Well, if you have something important to say, you're allowed. If you have nothing important to say, don't say anything.
I know that she was there, and Donna needs 24-hour care. It's very hard work to take care of her, and I know that Dee was there every day taking care of her. How do you know?
Just a second. That's very interesting. Stand up.
Okay.
Tell me your name.
Sydney.
Sydney, how do you know she was there every day?
Well, I live right over there, and me and her were actually enemies at that time, but, I had to,
Can you try to say a sentence for me without the word like in it?
Okay.
Try. And no basically. No basically, no like.
Okay.
Mother's Day. Who was there on Mother's Day all day? The answer is nobody, because she told me she wasn't there. She got there at night.
Yeah, she got there after work. And then she was there every day.
I don't... Okay. Sit down. It's not good to get old. It's not good to get old. Not have somebody who actually cares about you, or at least overseeing that responsibility. I think that neither one of you had the best interests of this lady in your heart, even though you get paid for doing that. I'm not predisposed to helping you. Do you understand? I don't know who Mike is. And how dare you leave this lady who is clearly not able to take care of herself. According to Sydney, she needs 24-hour care with somebody whose name is Mike, whose last name you don't even know. Goodbye.
I don't remember it.
Goodbye. I'm finished with you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I would have been more than happy to give her something if she would have done her job. Don't trust your friends.
Now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mackey versus Burmeister. Step forward.
Debbie Mackey is suing her neighbor, Jeremy Burmeister, for the cost of demolition and trespassing.
Miss Ms. Mackey, sometime last year, you got power of attorney over property that your aunt was living in.
Your Honor, I actually obtained power of attorney for her in 2010 starting. The power of attorney that I recently got was in January of 2018 to take care of her as well. So the matters had changed a little bit.
She was living in a house until January of 2018.
She was actually living in her own home until December 24th of 2017.
Fine. And despite the fact that you had power of attorney starting, as you indicated, in 2010, she remained on her own in this house.
Yes, she did.
Does your aunt have any other relatives other than you?
I believe she has some cousins in Arizona.
But other than you,
no,
you're it?
No, I am it.
And so that you would be her only heir to this
Yes.
property. Is that correct?
Yes.
Where is she living now?
She's living with me.
Does your aunt have anybody assisting her?
Myself.
Other than you?
My family.
So she lives with you unassisted?
I mean, she lives with us. I take care of her and my dad. My dad's in a wheelchair. He's 88, so I'm pretty much their full-time caretaker.
Who's with them now?
My daughter.
And where is this property that you took over in January?
The property is in Crockett, California, which is in the Bay Area.
Is it a single-family home?
It's actually a triplex, but she lived in the single-family home. It has a single-family residence above and what used to be the old barber shop of the town on the left, and on the other side, which she uses as a basement or used as a basement, it was the previous dry cleaner many years ago.
And have you had the property valued?
No, I have not recently. I am...
Within the last 2 years?
Your Honor, I've been a real estate broker for 26 years, so I do know the value, but as...
What's the value of the property?
The value, based on the condition right now, is basically about $150,000.
And you have renovation plans?
I absolutely do.
Just a second. The answer is yes.
Yes.
You have renovation plans. To do what with the property?
Right now, the permit that I have is to build the deck and to take care of some of the dry rot.
What is your plan? Listen,
okay.
What is your plan for the property?
To rehab it.
And once the property is rehabbed, what will its value be?
The value will be probably about $500,000.
Okay. Defendant is your neighbor. How long have you been at your premises and what do you own there?
5 years, Your Honor, and I own the building next door, the Emporium from 1922.
Do you live there as well?
I do, and it is my place of work. I'm an artist, and it is a live-work space.
There was some stuff that belonged to you, Mr. Burmeister. There was some property that storage stuff that you no longer had an immediate need for. And according to you, Miss Mackey's aunt gave you permission to store the stuff on her property.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, that doesn't exist anymore.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm explaining that to you. That doesn't exist anymore.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How am I supposed to say how much it's going to take to get rid of the junk?
I just want him to get it out of there.
He says it's not junk. Hold on.
Yes, ma'am.
Pay attention. You say it's not junk. You say
And it is on my property, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Debbie Mackey says her neighbor, Jeremy Burmeister, owes for the cost of demolition and trespassing onto her property.
Miss Mackey's aunt gave you permission to store the stuff on her property.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, that doesn't exist anymore.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm explaining that to you. That doesn't exist anymore.
The agreement?
Correct.
Your Honor, thank you.
The agreement doesn't exist anymore unless it's a written agreement. Is it in writing?
No, it is not.
It does not exist anymore. So get your junk off her property. If it's not already off her property, get it off.
It was gone within 2 weeks of my notice.
No, it's not, Your Honor.
What is left on the property?
Your Honor, have it.
Tell me what's left on the property.
Junk. Flat out old recycled windows, junk, gas cans, wood, garbage.
May I take a look at it?
Absolutely.
I'd like to take a look at it. And that was as of when?
Your Honor, he had...
Shh. As of when requires a date.
November 6, 2017, and has progressively gotten worse.
Just a second. It was there until when?
Now. It's still there.
That's all I wanted to know. That's it?
That's incorrect, Your Honor.
These are pictures, and they're dated March 25th, 2018. I said, what's there today?
There's pictures in there. Would you like me to pull it out to be specific?
Well, I'd like you to give me what I asked for.
So March 25th is when he started increasing the items.
All I want to see is what's there now. Is this?
Yes.
And this is his stuff?
Yes.
And that's on your property?
Yes. He owns 3 feet of that side.
That's incorrect, Your Honor.
Just a second.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is what you're saying that all this property belongs to you?
Not quite, Your Honor. I'm a visual artist, and as such, I noticed the plethora of photographs that I had for evidence towards this case because there is a dispute.
I don't
to
care
the
about the
property
dispute.
line.
I want to see where your junk is. So
Well,
if you have a
that's-
picture to show me, I'm
Can I
more
show
than
you on
prepared.
the... It's easier if I made a little diagram for Your Honor.
No,
and can
I don't
point
want
out
to see a
everything.
diagram.
Yes, Your Honor.
What I want to see is a photograph of your
Here's
stuff.
a temporary wood rack that I created at the beginning of the alleyway. Here's a temporary fence that I made at the end of the alleyway. Here's an above
Just a second.
view.
Is all this stuff in here yours?
Yes, Your Honor. And it is not junk. Those are 1940s to 1920s steel casement windows, valued at probably $5,000 for all of them, Your Honor.
Is this the same photograph that you're showing me with all this junk in?
Yes.
Well, this shows that it's clear.
Probably because he cleared it up. That is not his property line. He only owns 3 feet from his building.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You say it's not junk.
I had all of those items stored for 3 years because of the work that I did to clean up Miss Mackey's
I
failed
don't
attempt.
care.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on.
Yes, ma'am.
Pay attention.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Debbie Mackey says her neighbor, Jeremy Burmeister, owes for the cost of demolition and trespassing onto her property.
What I want to know is this the same picture?
It's the
No,
same junk.
It's not the same picture because I don't see a window.
Your Honor, could I please get the model?
No.
Okay. May I
Am I
approach, Your
looking
Honor?
at the same area?
I'll verify. I can't tell from back there.
Good. Would you show those two pictures to the defendant, please? Just the two. Is that a picture of the same area?
They are, Your Honor, from a slightly different angle. The image on the...
Shh. It's of the same area?
Yes.
Okay. And this picture was taken when?
If that's my picture, it was taken yesterday.
Got it.
Or, excuse me, Your Honor, Sunday. I'm sorry. We were on the road yesterday.
Did you get an estimate to remove this junk?
No, I have not.
Well, how am I supposed to say how much it's going to take to get rid of the junk?
Well, with the weight there, it's going to be...
No. Listen to me. We don't guess.
I just want him to get it out of there.
He says it's not junk. Hold on.
Yes, ma'am.
Pay attention. You say it's not junk. You say
And it is on my property, Your Honor.
You say it's not junk.
That is correct.
It's valuable.
To me and to other antiques collectors and people
Very
restoring
good.
antique buildings,
You have
yes, Your
3
Honor.
days to get it out of there. Otherwise, she is going to call a dumpster and get it out for you, and I am going to give her the money that she spends to get it out. Do you understand?
I do.
Do you? Good. Because what I'm telling you is you have no agreement to keep your stuff there.
That's a separate amount of stuff.
I want to tell you something. It's not separate to me.
Your Honor, I had all of those items and more stored in Mary Lou's office space, which was the former barber shop, for 3 years because of the work that I did to clean up Miss Mackey's failed attempt. Yes, Your Honor.
Get it out in 3 days, or she's
It's
going to...
on my property.
Get
It is
up.
on my line
Just
of the
a
property.
second. Get it out in 3 days. If it's touching an inch on her property, you have to get it out in 3 days. Otherwise, she's going to call a dumpster, get rid of it, and her bill is going to come back. And I'm going to say, now you're going to pay the bill. It's easy.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
I'm not making any more of this case than it is. What it is you had an agreement with an old lady to use her house as a storage shed. Now she's no longer able to care for herself. So somebody else comes in who's going to make a nifty profit because she's going to be the sole heir of this property at some point when her aunt is no longer with us. You have to get your stuff out. Be a good neighbor. Get it out.
I have been, Your Honor, and it is not on her property. My basement
listen
comes
to me.
out.
That's my ruling. Get it off her property
Yes,
in
Your
3
Honor.
days. Otherwise, she's going to remove it, and you're going to pay for that dumpster because she's going to come back here. We're done.
Your Honor,
Goodbye.
Your Honor.
We're done. We're
Your
done.
Honor.
Get it out.
Will you give me a court order so if it's not out in 3 days, I can have the sheriffs come stand by so
Just
we
a
can
sec.
get it out?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Excuse me, step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Judge Judy, as always, is very intelligent and can test the lie detector right away.
I'm the one that turned on her power, her electric, her television.
Regardless of whether he had an agreement, it's not in writing. And anything in real estate that's a leased space must be in writing.
And her phone when Miss Mackey was absent from the building over the last 3 years.
If it's longer than a year, then it has to be in writing. And we have nothing in writing.
I did not make her roof leak. I did not do any of the things that she's saying, and this is unfortunate.
I don't even know where he's getting that he damaged the roof, because we replaced the roof with building permits.
I hope that God gives me the strength to move forward with this.
I mean, he's just not willing to work with anybody. He's just very spiteful.
Whether or not you hit her garage door, I haven't decided yet. Totally.
Neighbors of different ages face off.
You've never had any trouble with this lady before, have you?
I have, and there's been trouble with others, too.
Time to determine the real nuisance.
So he's very bright. He's a smart little boy.
Absolutely.
But he's cunning.
She terrorizes everybody in the neighborhood, and we have video to prove it.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Chayo Moreno is suing her neighbors, Jamar Miles and Crystal Stidham Miles, for damages to her garage door caused by their son and for harassment.
Order. All rise. It's case number 276 on the calendar in the matter of Moreno versus Stidham Miles.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Ms. Marino, you and the defendant are neighbors, and it is your claim that their little boy was riding a skateboard and hit your garage door, causing a dent.
That's
You
correct.
want them to be responsible for paying for it. When did this happen?
July 31st, 2018, at about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Tell me what happened.
I was working in my office. I work from home, and I heard this loud bang, and I thought it's a tri-level, so I thought
Don't tell me what you thought. You heard a loud bang.
I heard a loud bang. I went all over the house thinking something fell out. I went to the garage. Nothing was down. I opened the garage, and the young boy was standing 1 to 2 feet away, and
away from
the garage with a skateboard with him. And
where was he holding the skateboard?
Actually, it was on the floor, but he had the skateboard, and I asked him, Christian, did you hit the garage?
Now, you said his name, so did you know his name?
Yes, he was a very nice boy, a very nice family at the time, and I knew his name.
Okay, so you said, Christian, did you hit the garage door?
Did you hit the garage? He said yes. It slipped while he's doing his maneuvers, and so then I hit the garage because I have a keypad. I brought it down, and there was the damage.
Did you bring something to show me?
I have a picture here.
Okay, may I see?
And there's a few in here.
Okay, what are you going to do to fix it?
Well, I had to change the panel. It's been changed. I changed the panel because you can't
It
hit
was
it
just
with
one panel.
Yeah, one panel, not the whole garage, one panel, and it is custom paint, so I also had to pay for the paint.
Okay.
And the painter.
And how much did that cost you?
It's a total of $800. $600 for the panel and $200 for the person to come out and paint it.
You have the bills for that?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
Here is the canceled checks for the estimate and the invoice and for the paint.
Thank you. All right, Christian. I don't care what you told your mother. I don't care what you told your father. Certain things make sense and certain things don't make sense. You've never had any trouble with this lady before, have you?
I have, and there's been trouble with others, too.
Don't tell me about others. Just tell me what difficulty you've had with the plaintiff.
I've been at the public park. There's a public park. She's recorded me and my friends playing outside at a public park.
So according to you, Christian, you've had difficulty with her before this day, this incident with the garage door.
Yes.
So why would you play around her garage door? I want you to think about my question. If you've had... Don't. Listen to me. I don't want you to speak. I want you to answer my question. If you've had difficulty with someone before, and so I assume you've told your parents about it.
Yes.
And I assume that if your parents were responsible, they would say to you, stay far away from her.
Hmm?
What does
Yes.
that mean? Yes. Well, then I want you to tell me. There's no question in my mind that when the plaintiff opened her garage door, you were there. I want you to understand that, because that makes sense to me. Do you understand?
Yes.
Whether or not you hit her garage door, I haven't decided yet. Totally. But there's no question that you were right outside her garage door when she opened the garage door.
Not right outside.
There's no question in my mind that you were right outside her garage. Now, by the time she checked her house and got downstairs, by that time, you may have been a couple of feet away. You were the only one there near her garage door, and you had a skateboard.
Yes.
So my question to you, Christian, is what were you doing near her house and garage door?
Skateboarding.
Why didn't you skateboard someplace else?
At 2:30, I was at school. She claims that this happened at 2:30. I was at school, and she has cameras in the back coming out of her window facing her garage.
Go sit down. Ball's in your court. I want you to tell me, did she come over to you on the 31st or thereafter to advise you that there had been a problem with your son?
No, ma'am.
When did she come over?
She did not come over at all.
Did you call?
I went to her house at around 5:30 p.m. after I came home from work. My husband was actually home when this incident apparently occurred.
Just a second. So you were home?
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. Did the plaintiff contact you?
No, Your Honor. So on the day in question,
7:31,
at the time that this allegedly happened, I was inside of my residence, and this exchange that occurred was not brought up to me. I found it a bit odd and unusual.
Listen to me. Sometime on the 31st, you discovered, either through conversation with your son or with the plaintiff, that it was alleged that your son, by accident, damaged her garage door. All I want you to tell me is, was it from your son or from the plaintiff?
From myself. I informed him.
Just a second. Well, you came home at 5:30.
My son informed me.
So, that you were not at home.
Correct. I was not. Correct.
You were not at home. Your husband was at home. If you were not at home, then you got a phone call, text, message from somebody.
No, ma'am.
Well, then how did you find out? You had a crystal ball?
My son told me. So I drove home and I walked in the house. She didn't tell us immediately.
I want you to understand there's no question in my mind that your son damaged her garage door. Now, you can stand there because she's not crazy and your son was there. Despite the fact that he says, I was at school, it couldn't have been me, there's no question in my mind that your son was there and had a conversation with her. Pay attention. Pay attention to me. There's no question that your son was there and had a conversation with her, despite the fact that he sat up here 2 seconds ago and said she said it occurred at 2:30 and I was in school. I couldn't have been there. Are you not following?
I am.
Just take it down. So there's no question in my mind that your son was there and had a conversation with the plaintiff. There's also no question that your son, despite the fact that his father, listen to me carefully, that his father was home, didn't tell his father, waited until you came home 3 hours later.
It wasn't 3 hours later. He didn't get home until 4 p.m.
Listen to me.
My son didn't get home till 4 p.m. and she refused to talk to my husband. That's what you're not hearing about.
Just a second. Are you telling me that the plaintiff tried to talk to your husband or he tried to talk?
According to my son, and you can bring him back up there, what he told me is he said, who is home? He responded that my dad is home. She said, well, when your mother gets home, tell her to come see me.
Now,
I came at 5:30.
Just a second.
I have no reason to make that up.
Listen to what you're saying. You're saying that what he did, and he's a smart little boy.
Absolutely.
But he's cunning. Because if a little boy is accused by a neighbor of doing something that they didn't do, the first thing that they would do is go in and tell their parent who was home. Mrs. So-and-so said that I damaged her door, but I didn't do it. Or I did damage her door. This person that shouldn't be around because she videotapes me and my friends when we're out playing in a public park. So he's very bright, manipulative. That's what they are.
No.
So he didn't go and tell your husband.
No. My son is very smart, but not manipulative.
Oh,
I know.
Madam.
No.
Pay very careful attention to me is what you're telling me. If she says it was at 2:30 and you're saying it happened at 4 o'clock,
no.
What difference does it make?
Because her story's changing. She's saying it happened between 2:30 and 3:30, and
How long have you been living in your house?
Maybe 5 months.
May
I say it's not a house, it's a condo, so that's why they're so close to each other, and he would be playing in the quad area, which is where all the garages are. car, and he skateboarded back and forth. So just to gain some clarity.
That's one excuse after another. You keep making excuses.
It's not an excuse.
Keep making excuses.
She terrorizes everybody in the neighborhood, and we have video to prove it. Just random harassment. And that's another thing she's suing us for, apparently, is harassment.
No, I'm not. She's not suing you for harassment. I'm only interested in garage door. Dent on garage door. And one excuse after another. Wasn't it 2:30? It was at 4:30. He didn't tell his father because she told him to just tell his mother to come and see me.
Ask her. She told me that. She even said it when I came to her house.
That's not true. Just a second. I'm not saying what she said. What you're telling me. How many children do you have?
I have 2 children.
Okay.
Right here.
Good.
And they're both very different. And I know both of their vices. And one is Christian. He's actually a very honest child. He's a smart child. He's in gifted and talented classes, straight A student. I have letters from his teacher about his character. He's on the Military Ambassador Club.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800.
Can I
Can't get
ask
through to
about
them.
the harassment?
No.
Because
we're done.
Okay. I mean, they continue to harass me for 79 months because of the fact that they didn't pay. And I'd just like to prove I have 10 items.
Listen to me. I'm awarding you $800.
Plus the $10 that they commit. They're teaching
Did you
him
understand what I just said to you?
Yeah, but
did you understand what I just said to you?
understood.
Very good. Accept it. Exit. He damaged your door. I know it, and he knows it.
And we got
he also,
We're done.
I also paid him to do a job.
We are done.
I also paid him to do a job, and they're teaching him not to be accountable. It's the same variable.
Someone can't do a job when...
You may step out.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad that she saw that he did do it.
She would have it on camera if it did happen, but it didn't, so therefore it's not on camera.
And I hope that they also leave me and not harass me anymore.
From day one, we were warned that to watch out for her.
I can get on with my life.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Howard versus Ginkgo. Step forward.
Coolidge Howard is suing 24-year-old vinyl wrap installer Chase Ginkle for damaging his Maserati.
Mr. Howard, you purchased a used car, a 2015 Maserati.
Ghibli, yeah, it's a weird name.
And who did you purchase it from?
I bought it from a big car lot. It's in Phoenix, Arizona.
How much did you pay for it?
The car cost $35,000. I put down a down payment for the vehicle. I make payments on it.
And when did you purchase it, sir?
Was 7/17/18.
And at some point, you took the car into Mr. Ginkle's shop, who advertises that he wraps cars. Now,
Yes.
from what I understand, wrapping is the process where you make it look not shiny.
Correct. I was wrapping the chrome trim around the car, so everything that was chrome was going to be made to look black.
Okay, so you weren't changing the whole car.
Not the whole
car. Just changing the chrome.
Correct.
To be flat black or shiny black.
Flat black was what I wanted. He had the shiny wrap, so he went with the shiny wrap.
Okay, so you were fine with that. So you wanted the whole thing to look all one color.
Yep, all one.
Because I didn't understand. I was going to ask you, why would you take a perfectly good $35,000 car and then, screw it up by putting a vinyl covering?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm stupid when it comes to mechanics, but this looks unprofessional.
I told him what was needed to do to get the job done.
Well, I wouldn't have expected it to look like my 3-year-old grandchild made a hole in the car.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Coolidge Howard says vinyl wrap installer Chase Ginkle damaged his Maserati.
Okay, you just wanted the chrome cover.
Correct.
Okay, and he quoted you a price. And it is your claim, sir, that not only was the vinyl now coming off the chrome, which is really not what you're complaining about. What you're really complaining about is that when he returned the car to you, you noticed some damage.
Correct.
Okay. On what date did you take the car into his shop?
That was on 8/21.
And on what date did you call him about the damage that you saw when you got the car home?
It takes about 45 minutes to get back from where I picked the car up at. I called him on the way back because he had told me about what he had to do for the door handles. I didn't see it because it was dark.
door handles.
So the door handles, to pop them off, he had to go into the door jamb, and that's where the damage is inside the door jamb. I could show you a picture of it if you'd like.
Okay, so tell me what the damage was, sir.
The damage was done to the inside of the doors where there's little holes for you to put a tool in and pop the door handles out. And he did put a drill bit on the side of the door and drilled it to make it larger so he can get his tool inside to pop out the door handles.
I'd like to see where is this storage. Is it where you can see it?
Yes.
From the outside of the car, or do you have to be inside of the car to see it?
That's the damage to the door.
This is what you're talking about. It's inside the car.
It's inside the car.
It's inside. You don't see it from the outside. You don't see it from the inside. You see it when you open the car door.
Correct, but there's a reason. Sorry?
This jagged, unfinished-looking thing. Well, that's unprofessional looking, sir. Just in case you wanted to know. And I'm really stupid. I mean, I have a lot of cars, but I'm stupid when it comes to mechanics. But this looks unprofessional.
I told him what was needed to do to get the job done. He agreed.
Just a second. Well, if you said to me, I have to drill a hole in order to get that done, I wouldn't have expected it to look like my 3-year-old grandchild made a hole in the car. I would have fixed it, smoothed it over, covered it, made it look like a professional job.
Typically, there's rubber caps on those holes. I just happened to forget to put the rubber cap back on.
Well, that's your problem. But it looks unprofessional. It looks as if you damaged the car.
I told him that that's what was necessary.
This looks terrible, sir. Now, is this on the other side?
So on the other side of the car, there's no damage done to those. Those holes are still the same size as they're supposed to be. It was just that side. I think that he did it.
Do you understand? This looks as if maybe it could have been touched up a little bit. You know, maybe a little paint or something inside there so it wouldn't be annoying. But this doesn't look like it was done by my 3-year-old.
Correct.
This looks like it was done by a 3-year-old.
Correct.
Now,
so Your
what
Honor,
did you have to do to fix that?
So the damage to the door is also, the reason why those plugs are in the door is so water doesn't get inside the door and settle at the very bottom, because that's where all the rust and all that stuff will come in at the car. So that's why they need to replace the doors pretty much, because even putting rubber hoses in those holes, there's still going to be water that gets inside there.
You don't have to put in whole new doors. I'm sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It's a very pretty car. So I'm going to now take a look at your Maserati bill. That's like a Bentley bill. Did you have the doors fixed?
No, I've not had doors fixed. I haven't fixed anything on the car yet.
Perfect.
Okay. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Coolidge Howard says vinyl wrap installer Chase Ginkle damaged his Maserati.
Now, if you're doing body work on a car, I wouldn't take it to Maserati to get whole new doors.
Well, it's a Maserati, so that's why I take my Maserati to the Maserati dealership. That's everything that goes wrong with that car, I bring it straight to the dealership.
Mr. Howard, this isn't a mechanical problem.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of problem that you can take it to a body shop, and they will fix it without putting on 2 brand new doors.
What I was quoted was that was not going to be able to be fixed at a body shop.
Well, then you have an expert here to tell me that. I'm telling you that this hole in the door that is not visible from the inside or the outside can be fixed without putting in 2 brand new doors.
I have a quote from the actual body shop if you'd like to see that. The Maserati dealership. Okay.
I'll take 3 quotes to fix it, not for new doors. You have quotes for new doors?
Yes, just quote
here.
I'm
not interested for new doors.
Okay.
That's going to be fixed, but not with new doors.
Yeah, there's no smoothing those holes out.
It's not a question of smoothing them out. They can patch them, sand them. They're on the inside of the car door. I absolutely agree with you that the work that he did here was shoddy.
Okay.
That whatever plug, whatever thing he should have put in there, he should have put in there and not done the work. You paid him. First of all, you get your money back because you did a lousy job. That's $500 worth. Now, it's going to cost him money to fix this. It's not going to cost him $5,000 to fix it because you only paid $35,000 for the car. And these are 2 little holes in the door.
Okay. It's a lot more damage done than that, but also
Just a second. Okay. I'm waiting to see the rest of the damage.
Okay.
What's the rest of the damage?
So there's 2 scratches in the back seat that weren't there before, prior.
I'd like to see the scratches in the seat.
Yep. Here's this evidence. There's more damage done to also this part, too. This is what's on both sides of the car. It's a keyhole, but you can show her doing that one first. Those are cuts in the upholstery in the back seat that weren't there before we dropped the car off. And like I said before, when...
Would you explain how this happened?
That was not me. I didn't go inside the car.
What else, Mr. Howard?
I have this right here. When he cut the wrap on the car, he damaged the keyholes and things like that. But the back seat and the doors itself, that's what makes the quote so high.
I don't know what this is.
That's the keyhole to get in the car. So he applied the wrap to the car and then cut the wrap while it was on the car and just did a razor blade and just kind of scratched the whole keyhole up to cut it.
Why?
What I do on that is you have to tent over the circle of the keyhole, and what I do is I make a small incision in the middle, and then I use heat to push it down and around. I don't just take a knife and stab in there like that.
Well, but this is all scratched, sir. He didn't do this himself.
It might have been from before. That was not for me.
Keys don't open that car. You just walk up to the car, touch the handle. There's no key that actually goes into that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, you have evidence in front of you, sir. Tell me what it is.
So what I have here is pictures of his car before and after of what he did.
I want to see his car before and after.
One of these is, this one's before and this one's after.
Oh, I see. You wrap the side view mirrors and you wrap the doors.
Door handles.
Door handles. It's a very pretty car.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know about this. I know about this. So I'm going to now take a look at your Maserati bill. That's like a Bentley bill.
Okay.
Did you have the doors fixed?
No, I have not had doors fixed. I haven't fixed anything on the car yet.
Perfect.
Okay.
What is this? Yeah, that's not happening. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I explained thoroughly beforehand how that was necessary to do the job.
He damaged my vehicle.
I've worked on more expensive cars than this, and I've never had one problem.
When I got the car, there was no damage to the car.
Pretty clear that he's just trying to get a buck off me.
It's always going to be on my mind now when I'm in that car. I will probably sell it next year.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Guernsey versus Heil. Step forward.
Joan Guernsey is suing boutique owner Rona Heil for the value of damaged dog clothes and children's clothes.
Miss Heil, I'm going to start with you. You had a consignment business.
Correct.
And consignment works, usually people bring in something and they give it a general idea of what it's worth, and you work out a percentage that you get to keep from the sale of the product.
That's correct.
And when you take possession of that property, it becomes your responsibility to safeguard it.
To a certain extent.
No, to every extent. It becomes your responsibility to safeguard it. Miss Guernsey had a whole bunch of dog clothes that she made.
That's right.
It was part of a business that didn't work out, whatever it was, but she had 1 or 2 boxes. How many?
2 bins.
And she brought them into you to sell. So you accepted her merchandise on consignment with the idea of selling it. On what date did you accept her property on consignment?
I accepted on consignment on July 5th. However, I was clear about the fact that it is still her property that was in the contract.
I don't care what you're clear about. It is, of course, it's her property, but you accepted it on consignment. Therefore, you are responsible. You're not responsible if there was an act of God and the building was taken by an earthquake, flood. It would not be your responsibility. But you're responsible for ordinary care and reasonable care with regard to someone else's property that you have accepted into your custody. I'm telling you that that's what the law is. You're not responsible for natural disaster, but you are, in fact, responsible if your cats use her 2 bins as a litter box. That's your responsibility.
It's
which
not
is
my
what happened.
responsibility if the clothes were misrepresented.
Just a second. Well, you can't tell if the clothes were misrepresented because you accepted them, and it's your business, so that it's your responsibility to look through the 2 bins and say, you know what, this isn't really what you say it is. It's not new, it's not clean, whatever you were accepting on consignment. You accepted it, and then your cats used it as a litter box. Your defense is your cats used it as a litter box because the clothes were dirty or smelly to begin with, which, put your hand down, which attracted the cats.
That is correct.
Well, there's no way to know that, madam, because now the cat's urine is all over the clothes and it stinks from cat urine.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It's your responsibility to look at it and say, I don't want this sweater because it has this defect or that defect. That's what people do who are in business.
I'm not a cat.
What kind of stupid remark is that?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Joan Guernsey is suing boutique owner Rona Heil for the value of damaged dog clothes and children's clothes.
Now, it's your responsibility when you're taking the property to look at it and say, I don't want this sweater, I don't want this blazer because it has this defect or that defect. That's what people do who are in business.
But I'm not a cat.
Excuse me?
I'm not a cat.
What kind of stupid remark is that? What kind of stupid remark? If you brought in the 2 bins after your cats, use it as a litter box, and you want me to look in there, I have several degrees, and say, well, those clothes were probably smelly to begin with, which is why it attracted my cats. Now, I don't know anybody who's going to differentiate to me between smelly clothes and cat urine. So you're responsible for the clothes. Now, the issue is, how much are they worth? That's the issue. And you were consigning these things to her because you couldn't sell them.
No, that's not the reason, Your Honor. I consigned them to...
No, you was consigning them to her because you couldn't sell them. Because if she sold them, listen to me, if you could sell them, you get to keep all the profits. If you give it to somebody to sell on consignment, she's going to take a percentage.
That's right.
That's right.
Yes.
So if you could sell it on your own, you wouldn't give it to somebody else to sell it on consignment. You would sell it on your own, and then you'd keep all the profit.
I felt like I would have more exposure having them in her shop, and they were in pristine condition when I brought them in.
That's not what I'm saying to you.
No,
my problem is, how do you value what you left with her?
Actually, I marked them under what I valued them at.
Let's start with this.
Okay.
When she took possession of your property, were there prices on the property?
Yes, I made.
And what did they all add up to?
$1,064.25.
$1,064.25.
$1,964.25.
Okay. And what was her percentage?
30%.
Do you have all the items added up?
I do not have them. I returned that to Joan.
I'll take a look at her list.
Would you like the photos?
Did she give you this list?
I do not recognize that list, Your Honor.
What did she give you when she gave you all
a
of the
list
things?
that had items, the dog clothes, and it had prices next to it.
Okay, well, that's a list.
I don't know if that is the list. That doesn't look
Well,
like
if
the
you
list
had
that
yours,
I
you
saw.
could look at it. Do you have yours?
I do not. I
Well,
returned
that's
it
what
with her
you're
when
coming here
I...
today for.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Your Honor,
We're
it
done.
was $1,900.
Let me explain something to you. When you give something on you say it's $1,900. She doesn't have the list. And this is a list that you just made for today because you said she didn't return the list to you. So far, I'm correct. When you give something to consignment, you take $1,900, take off 30%. That's if you got a full amount for everything that you listed on here in a full amount, which is unreasonable because nobody gets exactly what they want in a consignment shop. So you're very fortunate. I'm giving you $1,000. Say thank you and goodbye.
May I
We're
ask
done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
The cat used the clothes as a litter box.
They had been the dog clothes of a dog, which is why they smelled like dog.
I should get the full price of what they were going to be sold for.
She had a sob story.
Some people don't have a moral code.
No good deed goes unpunished, right?
In a case continued from yesterday, 24-year-old Sean DeMarco is suing his former dog sitter, 21-year-old Kaylee Cortini, for the cost to retrieve a car, a false restraining order, and harassment.
Now, I was furnished with a copy of the decision and order that you were waiting on from the judge who heard the initial part of this case. And other than the fact that the judge does allude to the fact that you presented no evidence of a bad check with regard to the car, the decision of the court seems to be interesting. It says that you owe her $4,500 for taking care of the dog, the puppies, the vet bill, the neutering, all of the expenses for the months that she took care of what was then your responsibility. The judge also says that on your claim, she is to return the dog and the puppies to you. However, the judge says that that's not going to happen unless at the exchange you have $4,500 to give her, right?
Correct.
That's what the judge says. Now, I need a little more information. I'm not going behind this judge's opinion. I just want to know, you said the dog is 2 years old. Now, the dog has been with her since June.
June, correct.
June, July, August, September, October, November. So the dog's been with her for 6 months. Now, the dog came to her pregnant. The gestation period for a dog is 63 days. She says the dog gave birth to puppies 3 days after it arrived, which means it had been with your friend or whoever was taking care of the dog irresponsibly for at least 2 months, because you said that you weren't there when whoever was watching the dog let the dog get pregnant. That's what you told me 2 weeks ago, correct?
No, my dog was just there while I was out of town.
For how long?
Like the weekend, just temporarily.
Where were you out of town?
I was out of town like a few hours away. They were just watching the dog.
You know that I don't believe you.
Okay.
I don't believe you. So your whole case here has to do with the fact that you allegedly sold her the car, but she only gave you a check for $800. Let me go through this very.
Let me go through this. For the car, the check she gave me was a bad check, and I have the check.
Just a second. What was she giving you a check for $800 for?
For a rental car. The check she gave me was not for the car, and the check she gave me was an NSF, and I have the bank statement showing it was an NSF.
The check she gave you was for a rental car?
Right.
Explain that to me.
So the check she gave me was for a Midway rental car. She never gave me any money for the car.
Just a second, Mr. DeMarco. Pay careful attention to me, sir. She got possession of your car. You don't claim that she got possession of your car illegally because you didn't report that she stole your car the day she took possession of it.
A month.
Sorry. Do you understand what I'm saying?
There was a stolen car report. She never paid me for the car.
No. Mr. DeMarco, on what date did she originally take possession of the car?
July 30th.
And on what date is the check written?
The check was written on July 30th also, I believe.
So she took possession of the car on July 30th and gave you a check on July 30th.
Right, and there was also a rental car on July 30th.
For whom?
I rented a car for her also in both of our names.
Just a second. Is she listed as the driver?
Yes, both of us. She didn't have a credit card, so she asked me to rent it in both of our names because she was watching the dog.
Is that what happened?
No, you're on.
Yes, I have the rental car in both of our names. If you would like to see it, bailiff, can you take it?
Not interested. Now, I want you to tell me about this rental car.
He rented it for himself. The car that he did sell me has been in 5 accidents and had 16 minor repairs. And it has also went through 6 owners, so the car wasn't even running well.
Why would he list you as a driver on a rental car agreement?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Now, on what date did you report the car stolen? Is not an answer. She took the car without your permission on July 30th. You rented a car on July 30th. On what date did you report the car stolen? You have a stolen car report.
I was actually out of the country. I was out of the country, so I had to file it in person.
I don't care. She took the car on the 30th.
I think it was August 1st. Let me pull up the police report. Here's the police report.
Dated.
I brought my flight ticket also to prove to you that I was out of the country.
I don't care if you were out of the country. July 30th, she gave you a check for $800. You say she stole the car on July 30th.
I was trying to get the car back from her, though.
Don't tell me a story, sir.
Okay.
If somebody stole my car on July 30th, I would report the car stolen on July 30th.
Your Honor,
don't give me a but. What date did you report the car stolen?
on August 12th, but she got she got an emergency protective order against me, so I wasn't able to try and get the car back.
Mr. DeMarco, I want you to listen to me carefully, sir. You're not stupid, and you may have pulled the wool with this dumb act with somebody else. You're not doing it with me. If somebody steals my car on July 30th, I report it stolen on July 30th. And the fact that she gets a restraining order against you doesn't impact the fact that you report the car stolen on the day it was stolen. On what date did you try to cash the check? On what date did you try to cash the check? Just answer.
I deposited it that day, but Your Honor, she stole the title also, and she had registered it in her name so the police wouldn't take a stolen police report.
This is my verdict.
No.
This is my verdict. Do you have the car back?
I did get the car back.
Great. Did you pay her the $4,500 for taking care of the puppies?
She refused to give me back the dogs.
Just a second. Did you pay her the $4,500?
I have not gotten the dogs back.
Great. Then you're going to follow what the judge says.
I'm willing to do
that. Great. You're going to pay her $4,500 from your pocket because I cannot overrule a superior court judge. Now, I could make a settlement with you if you both agree, because in here that sort of gives some latitude to the two of you to resolve it. I'm speaking.
I know. I just want to say one thing.
You can say whatever you want.
I'm not asking for anything for the car. I could have reported this to the insurance, but I didn't want to claim on my insurance. I'm just asking for the impound fees and the expense that I incurred.
I'm not giving it to you.
Okay.
When you give her $4,500, consider yourself...
Yeah, I'm willing to
Just
do
a second.
that.
When you give her the $4,500, you get your dogs back. According to this, you say to the judge that the dogs that she took care of... Hey, I'm speaking. That the dogs that she took care of, 5 of them, are worth $2,000 apiece.
No,
that's what you said.
$1,000.
All righty, let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. DeMarco testified he wants the 5 dogs or the value which he believes to be $2,000 per dog, not $1,000. That's what the judge says. The judge is lying?
I said they're around $1,000 to $2,000.
No.
But
got it? Zippity doo dah. When you come up with $4,500, which I would like to see, because actually, Ms. Cortini, I would not give him back the dogs. If I were making the decision,
actually.
I would not give him back the dog that he hasn't had for a year.
She's terrified of him.
Listen to me.
I'm
not terrified of him. What I'm telling you is, I would have ruled differently in this case. I'm not the judge in this case.
I'm out.
If I'm not the judge in this case, I wouldn't have given him the puppies back. I wouldn't have given him the dog back. You have this order, but this order says that until he comes up with almost $5,000, he doesn't get the dogs.
Thank you.
So if he's got the money, terrific. What?
About the tolls,
I don't think she has the
dogs. He got the car back and then racked up several toll bills.
She needs to report it to the toll that she doesn't have the car.
I did. I have.
Then report it that you didn't have the car. Simple.
He's got the car back. He's not, listen to me, he's not going to be able to register the car if it's got outstanding tickets. They gave it back to him. Do you understand?
Yeah.
He has a useless car. He can't register it unless you want to make it. Listen to me carefully. Unless you want to make an arrangement now, sir. Then I will entertain your application for impound and for the cost of getting your car back. I will entertain that.
That's what I would like. That's what I was here for.
Great. If you leave the dogs where they are.
She doesn't have the dogs.
Just a second. If you leave the dogs where they are. If you withdraw your case, I will entertain your application for the impound fees and for the cost of getting your car back.
Okay.
Do you?
Yeah,
just a second.
because, Your Honor, I don't believe she has the dogs. And
just a second.
She needs to be honest.
Mr. DeMarco, this is the route that we can take. Either I say
I'm willing to do that
adios,
because I'm not going to get the dogs back anyways.
Adios, goodbye, which I'm more than prepared to do.
Okay, because at this point I'm not going to get the dogs. I already know that.
Listen to me. Or the two of you will sign an agreement.
I'll do that.
Yes? Good. I'm going to recall the case once you sign the agreement. Then I'm going to look at your impound fees. I'm going to look at the bills that you have from a person that you got to repossess the car. Okay. And then Miss Cortini gets to keep the puppies and the dog. Do you understand?
I appreciate
First sign it, then I'll hear you.
Can I say one
goodbye?
Can I give her a hug?
Sign it.
I could hug you right now. If you were right here, I would give you a hug right now.
Can I say one thing, though?
I seriously...
I would like for her to dismiss the protective order because I...
Oh, no, I don't deal with protective orders. Listen to me. I don't deal with protective orders. That's a different court. Do you understand? Don't waste my time.
Okay.
Are you going to... Great.
She doesn't have the
We'll
dog's
be back
name.
here in 5 minutes. Great.
Parties are excused. This will be recalled.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Was there any money exchanged between you and the friend for that car?
He wasn't willing to pay me money until I put the repairs that the car needed.
There was money. There was $6,000. She sold the car to someone for $6,000.
I would like to see proof of that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Sean DeMarco has accused his former dog sitter, Kaylee Cortini, of taking a car without permission, filing a false restraining order, and harassment.
Order. Judge, this is a recall, case 291 in the matter of DeMarco versus Cortini. I remind parties you're still under oath.
All right, Mr. DeMarco and Miss Cortini, I have your signed agreement, which I will read into the record when we're finished with your claim, sir, which I will hear now with regard to the expenses in getting your car back from Miss Cortini, okay? Would you tell me on what date you had your car retrieved?
The Los Angeles Police Department recovered the vehicle from another party that she had sold it to shortly after stealing it from me. They had recovered it on...
Okay, Ms. Cortini, just for my own information, madam, and it's very easy to figure out and it's very easy to find out, did you sell the car?
They picked it up from my friend's house. Your Honor, they picked it up from my friend's house.
Okay. Was there any money exchanged between you and the friend for that car?
He wasn't willing to pay me money until I put the repairs that the car needed.
So the answer is no?
Not yet, no.
Okay. How much did it cost you, sir, to retrieve the car?
There was money. There was $6,000. She sold the car to someone for $6,000.
I would like to see proof of that.
The LAPD, I have the police report number. There's also
don't give me a number. Just give me proof that she sold the car to a third person for $6,000.
Okay, I have the police report number from the LAPD.
Sir, do you have a police report? Not a number.
They would not give it to me because I was not the victim.
The answer is no. I don't look up police reports. That's your responsibility. So now let's get back to my question.
Okay.
How much did it cost you to retrieve the car?
So I have an impound fee of $287.
$287?
Yes. And
May
I have
see
the
it,
impound
please?
fee.
May I see it, please?
And then I had a car rental check fees of $841.
Car rental check fee for what?
2 car rentals for $879 because I was without a vehicle, so I had to rent a car.
Next.
And lift fees, $288.59.
What's lift fees? What is
because
that?
I had no car, so I
What's
had
next?
It's just the transportation, and then there was some damages done to my car, and there was a missing radar, and that's it.
Just a second. A missing what?
A missing radar.
What's a radar?
It's a radar that you put inside your car. It's like a electronic device.
You mean so that you can speed?
No, it's like kind of. I mean, it's to monitor your speed.
Okay. What's next?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I would like you to know that she did file a restraining order against me. That's why I rented a rent-a-car.
I don't care.
How else am I going to get around?
I don't care.
I don't understand why you're so upset with me.
Don't say anything else that's going to irritate me, Mr. DeMarco.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Sean DeMarco has accused his former dog sitter, Kaylee Cortini, of taking a car without permission, filing a false restraining order, and harassment.
What's next?
It's just a $1,500 repair bill because when the car was picked up, whoever she sold it to, there was like small dents and stuff the LAPD had reported.
Tell me what the LAPD reported if you don't have a report.
I have that. I have the report and...
Fine. Let me see it, please.
And also the repairs that I did after I picked it up.
Your Honor, I know you don't like interrupting, but it's imperative that you see this before you read that.
Before I read?
I have a lot of respect for you, and I really need you to read this.
Here's the radar.
I don't need the radar. I'm not entertaining the radar.
Okay.
I just said that. Aren't you picking up my clues?
Yeah.
What is this?
Him saying that this is all a game to him. This whole entire thing is a game to him. This horror and torture is a game.
What exactly?
It's not a game. It's not. Okay, fine. $287 to retrieve the car. Now, Mr. DeMarco, I want you to understand very carefully, sir, that what I didn't say to you was I was going to entertain anything other than cost of you getting the car back and the impound fees. So far, what you've given me is $287. This $1,500 bill that you presented me with shows what apparently is dings and dents on a car. I don't know what was there before. I don't know what was done. But I do know this, that when they pick up a car and they take it to impound and it's towed, usually a car suffers some sort of damage. So for that, sir, I'm going to give you $250, even though I didn't say I would. Do you understand? Fine. Don't say anything else that's going to irritate me, Mr. DeMarco. Right now, I'm making you a gift of $250. That's $537. Now, did you have any other expense that you haven't told me about in getting the car back from the defendant?
Well, I would like you to know that it's imperative that she did file a restraining order against me. I had a hard time getting a police report, so I was without a car.
So the answer is no.
Well, I had to get a rental car.
No. $537.
That's why I rented a rent-a-car, though.
I don't care.
How else am I going to get around?
I don't care.
I don't understand why you're so upset with me.
$537. Now, I'm going to read into the record the agreement that you both have signed. We'll have it available.
Can I ask something? Am I allowed, I'm literally losing my dog for $500.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, in the matter of Sean DeMarco versus Kaylee Cortini, Sean DeMarco agrees to withdraw his claim for money owed for the costs incurred from retrieving a car taken without permission and damages, plus punitive damages for filing a false restraining order and harassment. Sean DeMarco agrees to allow the arbitrator to decide the claim for impound fees and the cost of getting the car back. In the matter of Kaylee Cortini versus Sean DeMarco, docket number 1HCHSCO2549, which is the decision of the Honorable Douglas. Kelly Cortini agrees to withdraw her claim from money owed for toll charges, car registration, and punitive damages for harassment. Pursuant to the decision by the Honorable Douglas, dated November 8th, the parties have agreed and stipulate as follows in this signed agreement. Sean DeMarco agrees to relinquish any claim to the golden retriever and the 4 golden doodle puppies now in Kelly Cortini's possession. Kelly Cortini agrees to relinquish any claim to the $4,502 for expenses incurred for the dogs plus costs. It is both signed this 27th day of November 2018. That is so ordered. We're done. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused and they step out. Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Probably after the 5th time he showed up banging on my door. Maybe about the 7th time he drove past my house screaming at me.
I don't think it was very fair.
I had an emergency protective order against him. I had to change the locks.
And I don't think it was very fair.
I had to take several measures.
And I'm done.
He's crazy. He's mentally ill. He's crazy.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Clark versus Rieves. Step forward.
Deborah Clark is suing her former tenant and friend, Keith Rieves, for rent, an unpaid loan to buy a car, and property damage.
Miss Clark, the defendant was somebody that you knew for a long time. And there came a time when he needed a place to live. You had a basement apartment. You were having some surgery.
I fell out of a tree off a ladder and shattered my leg.
So you needed some help.
Yes.
So it seemed like a good idea. He moved in as a tenant.
Yes.
And helper for you for a while. And the agreement was once you got better that he was supposed to pay rent. How much was the rent, sir?
It was supposed to be $100 a week, which ended up at the end to be $150 a week.
Okay. And during that time, it was agreed by both of you, because you have an addiction problem in your history, and as well as you, sir, that there would be no drugs or alcohol in the house. During your tenancy there, when she was better, you wanted to drive an Uber, and according to Miss Clark, she gave you some money, and the money was a loan, and as collateral for the loan, the collateral was a sleep number bed and some speakers.
Yes.
Where is the bed?
It's not in my house.
Was it ever in your house?
It was in my house. His boyfriend took it out on the day that he was moving.
And the speakers that he's talking about?
I didn't see them leave the house, but they're not in the house.
How much money did she give you when you wanted to buy this car so that you could drive for Uber?
Total of $1,800.
And then there was a breach of the agreement because you acknowledged, sir, that for a short period of time you had relapsed on drugs.
Correct.
So she told you to leave.
Yes.
And you left. Did you ever pay her the $1,800?
The agreement was we made an agreement with each other that she was to keep the sleep number bed and the speakers that were worth $1,500.
Miss Clark says that your boyfriend came and took the bed the day after you moved out. She does not have it in her home.
I don't know. I didn't take anything. I took my clothes. I packed them in my car. That's all I took. I got in the car and I left.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Medical marijuana smoked in that house every day, which I really feel that's what brought me back to relapsing.
You mean on crack?
Yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Deborah Clark says she evicted her former friend, Keith Riaves, when he relapsed with drugs. She is suing for rent, a loan, and property damage. Keith is countersuing for U-Haul and storage fees.
Now, were you paying her rent? Because that's also a part of her claim.
I was paying her rent. I can't exactly say what I was paying her. I really do feel, Your Honor, that for everything I did around the house, like that was a lot of work. I quit my full-time job and started driving for Uber and Lyft so I could spend more time at the house to take care of her. So that's when we became the agreement between the two of us that she would loan me the money to buy the car. With the understanding that when she asked me for collateral, like, what do I have for collateral? You could have my sleep number bed and my stage speakers.
Okay, but she doesn't have the bed anymore. So you owe her the $1,800. Who are you living with now, Mr. Riaves?
I live with my ex-sister-in-law in Florida.
Are you doing okay?
I have about 4 months clean today. I'm trying hard.
What?
Your Honor, Mr. Riaves was doing great. And then all of a sudden I started to see some red flags. And I didn't know it, but he had relapsed on crack cocaine. And he caused some damages in my house. And he didn't pay the rent, of which he owes me $1,405. And he says he did...
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Clark.
Sure.
You sound as if you're a compassionate lady.
Yes.
And there's no question he owes you for the loan, for the $1,800 for the loan. How long have you lived alone?
Probably 13 years between my divorce and the time he came to live with me.
And when did Mr. Riaves leave?
In September 2018.
Where 4 or 5 months later, is somebody living in the apartment?
No.
Because you're going to continue to live alone.
I think so.
So the reason that he was really there was a helpful reason for him to be there. You needed him. He needed a place to stay. And it was a good 3.5 years.
I understand the point that you are raising, but I wasn't down for the count for longer than a year.
It doesn't matter.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. It sounds to me as if it was a reasonable arrangement. I think he probably became more than just a basement tenant. I would just imagine that if the two of you were there and just good friends, that you would occasionally have a meal together.
That's true.
Yeah, I would say so. I'm happy that you're 4 months sober. And it sounds to me like Ms. Clark is happy that you're 4 months sober also. You owe her $1,800. That's for the loan. Good luck. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,800.
What about the rent and damages to the house?
Judgment for the plaintiff
I
in the
have
amount
a picture that shows
that he damaged a clothesline. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,800.
And what about my counterclaim?
That's gone.
Why is that gone?
Really? You want from her storage charges and U-Haul charges to get you things?
Your Honor, I had nowhere to go. I literally had to pack my clothes.
You breached the agreement, sir. The agreement was that there was to be no drugs in the house at all.
She was the one that brought most of the drugs into the house. Medical marijuana smoked in that house every day, which I really feel that's what brought me back to relapsing.
You mean on crack?
Yes.
We're done. $1,800. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I wish him the best.
I wish things could have been different.
He was my friend. That love doesn't go away.
Broke my heart because we were very good friends.
Time will tell right now.
I hope it can be rekindled.
Tell me what terrible thing she did to you.
Mad at mom over gender reveal party pictures.
That was just supposed to be private. She put it as her cover photo on Facebook.
But the judge has seen it all before.
It's showing that you're crying. What was so upsetting about it?
It's a meme. I don't know if you're aware of what that is, but...
The only meme that I've seen is the one of me.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Jennifer Savan is suing her daughter, 19-year-old Angelina Stewart, and her boyfriend, 22-year-old Fernando Gallegos, for a vet bill.
Order. All rise. It's case number 365 on the calendar in the matter of Savan versus Stewart Gallegos.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Ms. Savan, this is your daughter.
Correct.
This is her boyfriend.
Yes.
They're having a baby.
There.
Hooray! And they're excited about having a baby. Do you work?
Yes.
Do you work?
Not anymore, no.
Do you have other children?
No.
So this is your first?
Yes.
Did you ever think about marriage?
Yes.
I know you're going to think about that more seriously.
Yes.
Perfect. Several months ago, they have a dog.
Yes.
And they let the dog out in the backyard. And the dog ate something, and it got very sick.
Yes.
What kind of a dog is it, so I know?
She's a German Shepherd Labrador mix.
Okay. The dog got sick, went to the vet. You had no money to pay for the vet. Your mom said, okay, I'll lend you the money. And she lent you the money to pay for the dog's care. According to you, it wasn't really a loan, but we didn't want her controlling us, so we paid her back anyway. And you paid her back a good portion of the vet bill. How much is left?
$395.
And the original vet bill was how much?
$1,500 and some
Okay,
change.
so you made substantial payments. That's what your mother is suing for. She's suing for the balance of this loan, $395.
Yes, ma'am.
And everybody was happy. And then you had what is this new custom that I'm finding out about. It's called a baby reveal party.
Yeah, gender reveal.
Something that they didn't do, is it? Is it like a baby shower, or is it in addition to a baby
it's kind
shower?
of like, like friends, family, we all gather, and in some way, sometimes it's, in our case, we did a burnout with tires.
Whatever, you show everybody what they...
Yeah, it's like a reveal of the color, whether it's boy or girl, and yeah.
So it's a big party. You could have coupled it with a wedding. We could have had a marriage. Now, in addition to this gender reveal party, do you also have a baby shower?
We are planning one for early April. Yeah,
So we have a gender reveal party, and we have a baby shower. No wedding.
Everything but a wedding.
All right. And at the baby reveal party, you got annoyed with your mother.
And it wasn't until after.
By the way, who paid for the baby reveal party?
We did.
And you got a lot of gifts for the baby, and your mom volunteered to take the gifts and store them for you.
They weren't gifts. We bought them. After the gender reveal party, we went to a local store, and we bought everything.
And she stored it for you at your request.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's your counterclaim. You want your baby stuff back.
Correct.
So it's very easy. You owe the balance of $395 for the vet bill. That's an easy. You paid most of it. You owe her the rest. You got annoyed with her. Who cares? You still owe her $395. That takes care of your lawsuit.
Yes.
I'm going to get to what did your mother do that you thought was so terrible at the gender reveal party that you stopped paying her back, you cut her off, you were very angry with her. Tell me, what terrible thing she did to you?
So on the day of the gender reveal, there was, multiple videos and pictures and things taken. We have a group of friends that we chat amongst through Facebook. Well, they had, made some pictures and stuff, just for laughs. That was kind of just supposed to be kept, private, not for, all of Facebook to see. And I had shared one of them with my mom, and she put it as her cover photo on Facebook. When I asked her to take it down,
Just a second, what was wrong with it?
It was embarrassing. I have the photo.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. So the whole thing with that was
just a second.
Sorry.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
It's a meme. I don't know if you're aware of what that is, but
well, the only meme that I've seen is the one of me.
Well, that's
So I don't understand. It's showing that you're crying. What was so upsetting about it?
It was a bit embarrassing to have it because we chose not to post that. We did post about it, about the reveal, and we posted a video and stuff, but it was just kind of,
just between friends.
It was something that we wanted to be private. That was one of the things that we chose to keep.
To keep with your friends?
Yeah.
So what'd you show it to your mother for?
Just,
or just send it to your mother
to kind of share the laugh.
And it's her mother's, and, she wants to share those moments with her mother, because at that time, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to make the suggestion. You have siblings?
Yes.
How many?
4.
Do you get along with them?
Yeah.
And you got along with your mother?
Not very much, no.
Enough so that you asked her to take care of your dog?
For a short period of time, yes.
And she was at the gender reveal party, and she's, other than this kerfuffle that you had with her, she's going to be at your baby shower, and if you decide to get married, maybe that.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
You see the way you say maybe? Now I'm going to say, Ms. Stewart, I want you to raise your left hand. Touch him. In 10 years from now, there's at least a 50-50 shot that you won't even remember what he looks like.
Yeah.
That's just practical. That's what the rate is for people who are married. For people who choose to have gender reveal parties and other parties, but choose not to have something that says, I'm devoting my life to you, the possibilities are even greater. So 10 years from now, other than photographs, you might not remember what he looks like. That's your mother. She will always be your mother. What I'm telling you is, butt out. This had nothing to do with you. 0. You don't like your mother-in-law? Do you have a mother?
Yes.
Do you like your mother?
Yes.
Would you like it if your girlfriend disrespected your mother?
No.
Butt out. This has nothing to do with you. And if you were smart, you would be nice to her mother. And if you were stupid, you would continue to butt in and say maybe. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Now, where are the baby items that they purchased?
They're right here.
Is that all of them?
It is.
Great. Bird, would you get those, please, and give them over to the defendants?
Is there, can I explain something really quick? So the situation between us
Are you making it better or worse?
I just kind of want to explain my part.
Why this was so distressing to you that you're going to make it an irreparable problem between you and your mother?
No, well, my mom was the one who made it an issue when I asked that it be taken down in the first place. But what I want to explain is that the money was not loaned to us. When we were at the vet and you
made it a loan by paying it back. You made it a loan by paying it back.
She specifically said, do not pay me back.
What part of butt out don't you understand?
Well, I'm going to be in this baby's life,
What part of butt out don't you understand?
Okay,
I've already made a decision on her claim for $395. That's done. You treated it as a loan by paying the vast majority of it back. There is a balance, $395. And now you have the baby items that she was storing for you. Now, I don't see anything so terrible about this. But if your daughter asked you to take it down, I actually would have said, I don't understand what the problem is, but I'll take it down.
I agree. And it wasn't the fact that she asked me to take it down. It was the way that she asked me.
And that's...
Just a second. So what was the tone?
She had called me when I initially posted it.
Just a second. Is this going to make it better or worse?
Neither.
Probably not better.
Okay.
What I'm telling you is, I know that daughters, how old are you?
19.
19. And so still a teenager, pregnant, unmarried. All right, so that pregnant, unmarried, and not working. And a teenager, whether it's mutual problems, but teenagers very often don't get along. Teenage girls don't get along with their mothers, whereas boys usually get along with their mothers. They like them. They're protective of their mothers. Anyway, if she didn't like this, you should have taken it down. If you didn't like her tone, you should have taken it down anyway.
Oh, I did remove it.
Good. Not fast enough for her, and you probably had words back and forth anyway. You have your things now. You have your $395 now.
Thank you.
What I'm telling you is, touch him 10 years from now, better than a 50-50 shot you won't remember his face unless the kid looks like him. Do you understand? You're going to be chasing after him for child support. That's not to be mean. It's just realistic. It's what I've seen over 50 years. She's always going to be your mom. And if you're too young and stupid to realize that now, you shouldn't be having a baby. We're done. Thank you.
Why is that excused? You may step out.
It's not something that I wanted to do.
I'm pretty irritated, I'm pretty mad.
But at the same time, tough love.
We told her we did not want that money.
I hope that we can move forward and put all this behind us.
Being 6 months pregnant and my mom suing me.
That we can put this behind us and move forward and fix the relationships.
At this point, we're done.
When he was 17, he was arrested.
Yes.
And he had to be represented by an attorney.
The former wife.
How much was the lawyer?
$5,000, Your Honor.
She wants you to pay for half of his legal fees.
Now the squeeze is on Dad.
How much do you earn a year?
About 30.
You live by yourself?
I live in my son's house.
An older son?
Yes.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Lori Bibby is suing her ex-husband, Michael Negri, for his share of their son's attorney fees after he was arrested for assault.
Order. All rise. It's case number 366 on the count in the matter of Bibby versus Negri.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Party's been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Negri, are you employed?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a machine operator.
For the same company for a while?
Almost 2 years.
You paid by the hour?
Yes.
How much do you earn a year? How much do you earn a year?
About 30.
Are you married?
No.
You live by yourself?
Yes.
That was a question.
I live with in my son's house.
An older son?
Yes.
And you've been doing that for a while?
Yes.
This is also your son?
Correct.
He's 17?
He's 18 now.
When he was 17, he was arrested?
Yes.
And he had to be represented by an attorney?
Correct.
This is your former wife. She wants you to pay for half of his legal fees.
Correct.
Your indication was there was not an agreement to pay for his legal fees.
Correct.
There was.
What do you do?
I raise my children, but my husband owns a construction company, and I help him run it.
Okay, so you choose not to work. You choose to be a stay-at-home parent and have your husband as the breadwinner.
Yes, but I do run his company, and I've always worked prior to this.
Okay, so you are involved in his company just as an unsalaried employee.
Correct.
Got it. And how many children do you have?
I have just him still.
Home?
Yeah, well, I have 3 at home, but he's the youngest of them at home. I also have a stepdaughter at home.
How old are the 2 other boys who are at home?
The other 2 are girls.
Girls. How old are they?
20 and 23, and my stepdaughter is 13.
But your girls are 20 and 23. They don't leave home so fast. You know why they don't leave home so fast? It's too comfortable.
Yeah.
They don't like to do their own laundry. They say, why do I have to do my own laundry? What is she for? I get cooked, and when I'm sick, somebody brings me soup. I'm never going to leave. But different, right?
Yeah, it's changed.
Okay, so Mr. Negri,
yes.
Is that the way you pronounce your name?
Yes.
You look like a nice man. I'm going to make this very easy. It doesn't matter whether you agreed to pay for half of your son's legal fees. Many, many years ago, and I'm sure Bird wouldn't remember because it wasn't a decision that would have particularly impacted on him. But when I was a sitting judge in the family court, all of our kids who were brought to court were under the age of 16, so they were all minors. And their parents would say, I want the court to assign them a lawyer. Most of my colleagues did just that. They gave them a free lawyer. Free to the parents and free to the 17-year-old. That doesn't mean they're free. Somebody's going to pay for them. People who pay Taxes pay for them. The community pays for them because they're lawyers. They have to live. They have wives and husbands and children. So they're not free lawyers. They're just free to the public. Well, some people can't afford to pay for a lawyer. And everyone who was accused of committing a crime should have the right to be represented by an attorney. I believe that. But I don't think that they're entitled to a free lawyer if their parents can afford it. And I'm going to tell you why. Let's say you have a support order for your son, and your support order is $100 a week. That's what a court has determined that you should pay for his necessaries. House, his room, his electricity, his food, his clothes. That's what your obligation is. His mother's obligation is the rest. That's okay. Those are necessaries. When the court made whatever support order you, I assume, are paying for your son, they didn't consider the fact that he was going to get himself arrested. And a lawyer is a necessary, like food, like clothing, like whatever. It's a necessary. The question is, who's going to pay for it? The answer is, for the purpose of this discussion, I am taxpayer. I want you to view me as a huge piggy bank. Am I going to pay for your son's lawyer? Looks like an okay kid. I don't know him from a hole in the wall. I don't want to pay for his lawyer. I may have to pay for his lawyer if you can't, but he's entitled to a lawyer, and he's going to get a lawyer because that's a necessary. And his parents, if they can afford to pay for it, are going to pay for it. If they can't, come to the piggy bank. I'll pay for it. So when the court decided, well, you should pay for child support, they were not anticipating that he got himself into trouble. And if he got himself into trouble, if you were responsible parents, you would say, I'm going to pay for your lawyer. You're going to work and pay me back because I didn't get into trouble. You got into trouble. And I work as a machinist, and I work and run the company, and I have children, and I have stepchildren, and I have laundry, probably a lot of yours. I don't have to pay for your lawyer, too. So go out and get a job on Saturday and Sunday instead of hanging out. How much was the lawyer?
$5,000, Joanna.
You're responsible for $2,500. That's your responsibility as a parent, as a necessary for your child. And I wrote an opinion about it. Let me tell you, just for giggles, I was going to give you the whole expression. Just for giggles, let me tell you what happened with this case. I had two people who worked for the city of New York, and their son got arrested for a burglary. And they said, we want a free lawyer. And I said, you work for the city of New York. Between you make over $100,000. Why would you come to the piggy bank and ask me to pay for your son's lawyer? They said, because you have to. And they refused to get a lawyer. So I assigned a panel lawyer, what they call a free lawyer that we pay for. But that lawyer charges by the hour. And before I released that kid to probation, I said, I want your check for the attorney's fees, which were, I think, $1,800. And they wrote out a check because they knew they weren't taking the kid home without that $1,800. So I got the $1,800, and I sent it to the assigned counsel plan of the Appellate Division, First Department. And I said, here's my decision that parents are supposed to pay for necessaries for their children. Here's my first installment, a check for $1,800 from the first set of parents who said, you assign the lawyer, I'll pay for that lawyer's bill. You know what they did? They sent me back the check. They said, we don't have a fund for this. That's why we are where we are. Make a fund, create a fund, be creative. No, it's easy to come to the piggy bank. You owe your ex-wife $2,500. And if I were you, I'd get a job on Saturday and Sunday and pay them both back. Thank you.
He pays me back, Your Honor. He does work and pay me back.
Perfect.
I made him do that.
Great. You owe him another $25.
Parties are excused when they step out.
I'm happy with her decision.
I mean, it's fair.
I got a call from the school that he was in trouble and he was going to get arrested.
She said he had gotten into a fight at school, didn't really think very well, got into a argument with another student. My son is definitely going to be paying it back.
Absolutely, it was a lesson for him. He's usually never in trouble. He's a good student.
Where was your car hit?
My car was hit on the right corner panel on the side.
Okay, whatever it is, the insurance paid for it. If they did, fine, but that's not what the case is about. After you had this collision, you each have a dog. And your dog, whose dog is it?
Family dog.
Family dog. Your dog was where?
In our yard.
Front yard or backyard?
Front yard.
Is there grass? Do you have a photograph?
Yes. Big front yard.
I'd like to see a picture of it.
Oops.
Okay, was your dog on a leash, off a leash?
He was off the leash.
Off the leash on the front lawn?
In the front yard, yes.
And after this collision took place, your wife was coming out?
No, I had a miniature schnauzer, one of our other dogs, in my lap.
In your lap in the car?
Yes, ma'am.
And?
And when Ms. Hernandez pulled back up into our driveway, I just pulled forward and texted my wife to come out. She then came out the side.
So you're still sitting in the car?
Yes.
Holding the schnauzer?
Yes.
Your wife came out?
Yes.
Of the side gate.
Don't speak. Your wife came out?
By that time,
And
I was
what
step out of
came-
the car. Pit bull.
So the pit bull came out of the house, also off leash?
Yes.
So now your wife opens the door, your dog comes out. Is your dog ever out without a leash?
Never.
That's not true.
What part of be quiet don't you understand? How old is the dog?
7.
And you've had the dog for 7 years?
Yes.
And never been outside without a leash?
Never.
So this was the first time?
Yes, ma'am.
So where did it go?
Well,
Where did it? Now it's running outside after its mistress. It's never been out before unleashed. Now it's unleashed. Where does it go?
It runs straight towards me and the other dog.
Just a second. But you're in the middle of the street.
Well, now
or now you pulled back into your driveway.
No. I left the car and I just stepped over.
You left the car in the street.
Right in front of my house.
You left the car in the street.
Yes.
And you were walking towards your wife, and I assume your houses are similar. You have a front yard and you have a double space where you can park your car.
Yes.
So you were walking towards your wife, towards your driveway.
No. Where? I was walking across the street towards Miss Hernandez. She parked the car in the driveway.
Just a second. You were walking across the street to her,
Yes.
holding your
My other
schnauzer.
Yes.
And where did the pit bull go?
She ran towards me.
Just a second. She ran towards you, then she was running towards Mrs. Hernandez's house.
Yes.
Right. And crossed the street.
Yes.
Unleashed.
Unleashed.
And
when she got to me,
when she got to you, where exactly, I want you to take this photograph and make an X next to where you were in front of Mrs. Hernandez's house. Now, would you take that photograph, Bird, and show it to the plaintiff? And is that where
John was
Mr.
at?
Hopton was?
That's not true.
Where was he?
Mom, this is when the dog attacked.
No, listen, pay attention to my question.
Can I answer?
Were you, just a second, were you there?
Yes.
Okay, then you can answer.
I would want to stay around that area, general area,
Great.
the sidewalk.
I'd like
so that's correct.
Terrific. Okay, so your dog crossed the street.
Yes.
And their dog had been on their lawn. Is what you're saying that there was a dog fight in the street where this X is?
No, they were barely on the sidewalk. I didn't know their dog was even out
I
there.
don't care what you knew. Is what you're saying that you refer to it as a dog fight occurred around where your X is, where you were with the schnauzer. You said the pit bull was following you. You were going to Mrs. Hernandez's house. What I'm asking you is don't try to second guess me. You're going to lose anyway.
You asked me.
Is this
where I'm standing?
Well,
When the dog ran across the street, that's where I was standing on the X.
And where was the dog?
Which one?
Yours, the pit bull.
Well, I was holding one. The other one ran
you
across.
weren't holding a pit bull. You were holding a schnauzer.
That's correct.
Where was the pit bull?
Coming from our
No,
garage.
not coming from.
Oh.
You said the dog was coming towards you.
Yes.
That's what you said.
That's correct.
I said, where were you?
Right there
You
where the
said
X
you
is.
were here.
Yep.
Is this where the dog came to?
Yes.
That's the answer. This is where the dog came to. It crossed the street.
Correct.
You're paying for her vet bill. What kind of dog do you have?
Chihuahua mix.
When you have a dangerous breed like a pit bull, you're supposed to keep it under control all the time. Not part of the time, all the time. They're dangerous dogs. I assume you have homeowners insurance. That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
And when you put this into your homeowners insurance,
It never happened.
Just a minute. Did they tell you that they weren't covering anything that had to do with a pit bull?
Never.
That's either a yes. Is somebody speaking over there?
My wife. She was there.
I don't want to hear you.
Okay.
I'm asking you a question. Did your homeowner's insurance indicate to you that they would not be responsible for this because of the breed of dog you have?
Not till July.
I don't care whether they said it
yes.
in Tisha B'Av.
Yes. Yes.
Now, that should give you some clue that courts have upheld the right of insurance companies to disclaim claims for people who have certain breeds of dogs. They don't say it's discriminatory against the breed. They say anyone stupid enough to have this breed of dog, we're not covering any incident that occurs with this breed of dog. Now, your dog happens to be one of those breeds. Your sweet, wonderful dog that's around your grandchildren all the time. You want to read a letter from a grandfather whose pit bull ripped off the face of his 3-year-old grandchild?
I understand, but this is more like Scooby-Doo. It's not like one of those short, dog-fighting dogs. It's not like that at all. I mean, that's the image that you would conjure up when you say pit bull, but this is more like Scooby-Doo.
You're an idiot. Can I please see the vet bill? I just want to see. Oh, that's the homeowner's letter. I'd like to see the vet bill, please.
The vet bill. Why am I shaking? And our dog, a picture of our dog.
I'd just like to see the vet bill.
The skin of the vet bill. Sorry. I'm shaking. Oh, here's the other one. I'm sorry. Here's the other. He had 2 surgeries.
Yeah, this is from your homeowner's policy.
They did like a few
Please be advised that our insured's homeowner's policy does not cover a pit bull, full or mixed. Therefore, the policy will not be able to handle your property claim damage. Scooby-Doo. Idiot.
Can I interject that we didn't hear anything about the insurance company until she contacted our homeowner's insurance, which was never brought up. She just surmised that we had homeowners through AAA, and on her own, she contacted AAA to do a third party. And as far as I'm concerned, this is an inflated bill only to cover her mother's deductible.
No, this has nothing to do.
Her insurance had to pay for everything.
This has to do with anesthesia for the dog.
It had 3 puncture, not life-threatening puncture marks. That's all.
Can I say something?
No. My 3-year-old beloved grandson is lying in a hospital bed, implanted with an IV, and many other stitches all over his face and chin. My heart is broken. I don't want to hear you. His grandma and I were the last to be called out of guilt. He's the victim of a pit bull attack. This is from a newspaper, and it's a letter from the grandfather. Since the babies were born, many heated arguments about the dangers the parents subjected these children to fell on deaf ears. It seems that all of their friends have at least one. At home, the little guy says, "Papa, dog bit me. I can barely stand the pain in my chest. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck." They nearly all, when defending the breed, call them American Bulldogs or Staffordshires. Every expert says if it looks like a pit, it's a pit. People who allow this should happen should lose their assets and be jailed. They all know altercation is inevitable. Anyway, this grandfather sent this to me so that I should have it. You want me to read you another one?
It's not necessary, but the thing is
Do you understand?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I didn't buy the dog. The dog came to stay for a brief time and
Their
never
dog
left.
wasn't a
Genevieve,
family
stop.
member
You have to stop.
until she got bit, or the dog would have still been outside.
I don't want this stupidity.
And later today,
I understand that she was already outside where she shouldn't have been, trying to make a turn. I get that. She gets that too, right?
I wasn't far out.
I don't care how far you were out. You were out.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Dolores Hernandez and her daughter Christina claim neighbor John Hopton owes for vet bills resulting from a dog attack.
Now,
I didn't buy the dog. The dog came to stay. It was my son's dog.
He's our family pet. Our family member.
Genevieve, stop. I didn't buy the dog. The dog came to stay for a brief time and never left.
Their dog wasn't a
Genevieve,
family
stop.
member
You have to
until she got bit, or the dog would have still been outside.
I don't want this stupidity.
You didn't take care of that dog until after it got bit. What are you talking about? It was in the snow and the rain and everything else.
No, we're in California.
Just
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,300. We're done. Thank you.
Thank you, Honor.
Bodies are excused. You may step out.
I understand where she's coming from completely.
Just unfortunate situation that had happened.
I asked her, since you caused the accident, let's just go have. A normal neighbor would have done it.
He was 50 at fault as I was 50 in fault, backing up.
But we should be going.
That'll never happen.
We should be neighbors without a problem.
Ever.
It was the principle. It was
She already pays him alimony.
$1,400 a month for 8.5 years.
But he expects more.
There were some bills that you paid in error.
Cell phone bills.
I don't care what you think.
Is it her mistake? Her problem?
How would you like it if the bank told you to suck it up? Well, that's the way she feels about paying your phone bill. She's already got to suck up paying you alimony.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Jennifer Doan is suing her ex-husband, John Doan, for the return of alimony she overpaid.
Order. All rise. Now, it's case number 402 on the calendar in the matter of Doan versus Doan.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Doan, you and the defendant were married, according to what I read, for approximately 9 years, and you do not have children together. Each of you has children from previous marriages or relationships, and I believe that those children lived with you while you were married. So far, correct?
That's correct.
And that marriage terminated in what month and year, so that I have that for my...
It's January 2017.
And pursuant to the terms of that decree, Mr. Doan's children remain with him. You have 2 children?
I have one.
You have 1. So your 1 child remained with you, and your 2 children are with you.
Yes.
Now, who stayed in the marital home?
We sold it.
And pursuant to the terms of that agreement, you, Mrs. Doan, as the breadwinner in the family, at least for a good part of those 9 years, were required to pay Mr. Doan 6 years of alimony.
8 years.
8 years.
8.5 years, yes.
In what amount?
$1,400 a month.
It is your claim in this case that in addition to paying him, which you are paying him the $1,400 a month, and that is current, is that correct, Mr. Doan?
Yes. Well, she missed a couple months.
But I paid it back.
Yeah.
There were some bills that you paid in error.
Correct.
That's what you're alleging.
Yes.
What bills were those?
That was our AT&T cell phone bills.
Yours joint bill?
Yes.
When did you pay that bill?
From when the divorce was filed against me, when I had temporary alimony, until I stopped paying it September of 2018.
Well, I'm just interested right now in anything subsequent to the divorce.
Right. And that should have been...
I'm not talking about filing. I'm talking about subsequent to the divorce when the court fixed everyone's responsibility. And that was $1,400 a month for 8.5 years.
Yes.
Custody, they made those arrangements, directed the sale of the house. So what bills and in what amount did you pay subsequent to the divorce that were not required by the divorce?
I paid everything from 1/5/2017 until July of 2018.
And so that we don't have to go through all of this, perhaps we could come to an agreement with regard to, because I'm sure you've discussed this.
A lot.
How much is the amount of those bills that you were not required to pay that you did pay?
Well, the amount I have goes back to when I originally started paying the cell phone bill for both of us.
No.
Yeah, I don't have the total amount.
Then let's get that amount. Okay. Anything after the divorce that you were not required to pay, but paid in error, is what your allegation is.
Right.
You understand that, sir?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Do you have the figure?
I think it's 1,165.
I'm calculating it right now, Your Honor, based on after the divorce was final. So it's $2,987.
Okay, I'm going to ask the 2 of you to go outside and take a look at those bills. This is not a determination of whether or not he's responsible to repay you. This is just so that you can come up with a figure to give me. Do you understand?
Understood.
I'll see you back here in 5.
Okay.
Parties are excused. This case will be recalled.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Don't tell me what your lawyer tells you. That's why I'm a judge, and I'm here, and I'm uber successful.
Yes.
I guarantee you, much more successful than your lawyer. Guaranteed.
You're a
you know what?
famous
You're just smart.
And later today,
when you got incarcerated for what?
I asked stupidity to leave and went out there and put 2 tires on flat, and they took me.
So you lost your temper.
Yeah.
And you flattened her tires in front of the police.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. In a case recall from earlier today, Jennifer Doan says ex-husband John Doan owes for the return of alimony she claims she overpaid.
Okay, did we agree on a figure?
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
Okay.
It's $3,337.03, and that's from 1/5/17 when the divorce was final to July 13th, 2018.
When you stopped paying those bills.
Correct.
So you indicated one was a phone bill.
Yes.
What other bills?
That's it.
Just phone?
Yes.
And whose phone bill was it after the divorce?
It was in his name, but I was paying it, automatic payments.
Okay. Ball's in your court.
I don't think...
I don't care what you think.
Okay.
What you think is irrelevant. All I want to know is...
Yeah, I believe what the paper says, and the paper from my attorneys, and they said I have no obligation to pay
I don't care what they said.
Okay, what's on here?
I don't care what they said.
Yes.
I don't care what you think.
Okay.
Do you pay your bills now?
Yes.
Other than receiving the $1,400 a month from the plaintiff, do you have any other source of income?
Yes, I get $1,600 from disability.
So let's say instead of sending you $1,600 for disability, the government sent you $3,600 for 3 months. And then they said to you, we made a mistake. You owe us $6,000. Would you say to the government that was your mistake?
Yes.
That had nothing to do with me. That was your mistake. You suck it up. I'm going to give you another example.
Okay.
Let's say you take your $1,600 a month disability and your $1,400 a month in alimony, and you put it in your checking account, and your checking account credits you with $16,000 and $14,000. And you say, ooh, windfall for me. I'm going out to buy myself a brand new
Harley
computer. And then the bank says to you, listen, we're reversing all those things, and you owe us $20,000. Mm-hmm. You think you would tell the bank to suck it up?
I might do that.
You might?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you. Let me tell you why you would not be successful.
Yes. It's a matter.
Legally, why you would not be successful. Now, let's say instead of the bank giving you $20,000 extra, instead of depositing your check as $1,600 and $1,400, they deposited as $600 and $400. You didn't notice it for a couple of months. All of a sudden, you said, "Hey, my bank account is shy $2,000." You look at it, you say, sure, they didn't credit me, but the one, they missed the one. You know, they thought it was part of the dollar sign. They missed the one, and they owe me $2,000. How would you like it if the bank told you to suck it up? You mean it only works when it's in your favor?
No, I
want you to answer my question.
No.
You said you would tell the bank to suck it up.
No, I would not say that.
You probably couldn't tell the federal government to suck it up because they'd suck you up. But if it worked not in your favor and they took your money, you would say, I deserve my money. You stole my $2,000.
Yes.
Because I put in $1,600 and you only gave me credit for $600. I put in $1,400, you only gave me credit for $400. You stole $2,000 from me. Wouldn't you feel that way? I would feel that way.
This is Jennifer's.
Don't tell me what your lawyer tells you. That's why I'm a judge and I'm here and I'm uber successful.
Yes.
I guarantee you much more successful than your lawyer. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
You're a
you know
wonderful,
what?
famous
You're just
person.
no, because I'm smart.
Yeah.
Because I just gave you 2 examples, and I'm asking you, would you think that the bank stole $2,000 from you that you should have in your pocket?
Yep.
Yes. Well, that's the way she feels about paying your phone bill.
Yes.
She's already got a suck up paying you alimony when you have no children together and you had a relatively short-term marriage. She's already have to suck that up. She did it, and she's paying you. She doesn't have to overpay you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,337. We're done.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm very happy with the decision, obviously.
I raised her kids. I did a lot of stuff.
Well, this is probably the same reason that we're not married any longer. Communication problems.
Money hungry. Like if I found a dollar bill on the floor.
No, I don't think he was stealing. I think he just needed to pay me back, and he wasn't making it happen.
She would make me pay, give her 99 cents of it.
I just want to pay the alimony, the extraordinarily high alimony.
I'm totally for that.
I just want to pay it until it's done, and that's it.
Living and being nice to Jennifer. I love her still.
I know that he does, and that's because I'm a great woman.
And forward. Justin Smith is suing his ex-girlfriend, Jessica Crosley, for an unpaid loan.
Miss Crosley, I'm going to start with you. You and Mr. Smith were in a romantic relationship for a period of time.
Yes.
From when to when?
I want to say it was about a year before my son was born. My son was born February 11th, 2019, and our relationship ended about 4 or 5 months after he was born.
And after you separated, according to what I read, you sort of remained friends.
Yes.
Great. You had some trouble with your finances, and you had serious debt. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a credit collections agent.
Not a good thing when you're a credit collections agent. And this was after you had already been separated for a long period of time. And at some point, what I'm piecing together is you discussed your financial circumstances with Mr. Smith.
Yes.
And one of your options was to seek protection in bankruptcy.
Correct.
And Mr. Smith thought that you'd take out a loan, consolidate all this debt, which was on, I assume, on credit cards with very high interest. And since he had credit, he would take out the loan and you would pay that loan off, which was manageable every month. Is that generally what this is about?
Yeah.
Yes.
His behavior had started getting irrational, scary, started calling me a lot, asking my whereabouts, texting me, driving by my house on several occasions I saw.
I'm still not understanding.
Justin Smith claims his ex-girl an unpaid loan.
Mr. Smith did take out that loan, month and year.
March of 2022, this year.
What were the payments each month, starting in March or April, principal and interest?
He had told me that it was $500.
Told you they were $500. He took out that loan, and am I correct, Ms. Crosley, that you paid off your credit card debt?
Yes.
And you paid off your debt with the loan that he took out?
Yes.
And you did, in fact, create a situation where the money, because you were employed, would come out directly from your bank account to go to pay off the loan to his bank account?
Yes.
And you did that in what month?
That was started, I believe, at the end of April or beginning of May.
And how many such payments did you make?
Biweekly payments, I believe I made about 6.
Thereby you stopped making the payments. What month did you stop making the payments?
In July of this year.
Why?
So I had started seeing my current boyfriend.
This is not a social show. Just tell me why.
So I had to take a day off of work to file for an order of protection.
Why did you have to take a day off from work to file for an order of protection?
Because I was advised to by a police officer I spoke to.
Okay. And I assume against him?
Yes.
Okay. Give me the incident.
Okay. So in July, when I started seeing my current boyfriend, Justin had expressed that he wanted us to get back together. And I had told him no, that was not going to happen. And then his behavior had started getting irrational, scary, me driving by my house on several occasions I saw. And then there was an incident on July 19th where I had allowed his mother to take my son to a play, and she was supposed to drop him off back to me. And instead of dropping him back off to me, she had dropped him off with his father at his work. And then I got a call from Justin yelling, saying, "Where are you? What are you doing right now?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm on my way back home. Your mom's supposed to drop off Braden." He's like, "I have Braden. I'll meet you at your house." So I said, okay. We got to outside my house, and then he pulled up next to me and then started screaming out of the car, like, "Where were you? What were you doing?" I was like, "I was spending time with Anthony, my boyfriend." And he's like, "I'm taking Braden. I'm not going to give him back to you." And my son's crying in the back seat. And I said, "No, you give him back to me. It is my day to have him." And he drove away. He later called me and said I could meet them at Dairy Queen. And as I was getting him in the car, Justin had walked up to my car and started yelling and swearing at me. And as me and my son started driving off, he threw a milkshake at my car, which scared me and my son very much.
Okay, good. And you filed for an order of protection. You had a trial on the order of protection,
yes.
And the judge dismissed your order of protection.
Yes.
After the trial.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm still not understanding why you stopped paying on the loan.
So when I had lost my job.
You lost your job when?
The next day. The incident happened on the 19th. I had to take the 20th off to file for the order of protection. The 21st, I was let go.
Oh, that had nothing to do with you being let go. Nothing. I just want to know why you stopped paying on the loan. You stopped paying on the loan?
Started working.
Well, did you start paying him back?
No. So also in July, when all these incidents happened, Justin had stopped paying for daycare, which was our agreed upon child support payment. We don't have a court order for child support, but he had been paying all of daycare. I cover all of his other finances.
So that was an agreement that you had, that he would pay for daycare?
Yes.
Okay. And he stopped paying in July?
Yes. He started only paying half of daycare.
Okay, so let's go back. He started paying for half.
Yes.
How much was he supposed to pay per month?
$560 was the full amount of daycare each month.
Okay, and he had been paying that. In July, he cut it down to?
To $270, I believe.
80.
Okay, so he wasn't completely not paying. He was paying part of it.
Correct.
Tell me why you cut the payments in half, because you have a counterclaim for that.
Yeah. So in July, we started a custody.
July, who started the custody case?
I did, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you retain a lawyer?
I did.
Is that case still ongoing?
It is.
Well, then I'm not entertaining anything about the daycare because you have that case in family court. The court there will make a determination as far as future child support and whether or not this daycare should have been paid. So you have no reason for not paying the loan.
I was planning on filing bankruptcy.
Okay, but you didn't. You didn't file for bankruptcy. You did the smart thing. How much is left on the loan?
It's in excess of $12,000 or $11,000.
What interest rate is on that loan, by the way?
36%, I believe. Current balance as of November 30th, $12,631.
How does that?
She had some loans in excess of 800%.
From whom?
Or over 500%. These were online lenders.
Oh, wow. Okay, you have a counterclaim. Harassment, daycare costs is out. Lost wages because you say you had to take a day off to file a protective order and you were fired? Nonsense. Harassment, let's hear it. And don't go back to anything that you told the judge during the hearing that you had where he dismissed your application for an order of protection.
Okay, well, the order of protection.
Okay,
that was.
They're just shh. Well, if that's the testimony, it's already been adjudicated. A judge using the same measure of proof that I would use dismissed your case, so I'm not relitigating that case. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I believe he was angry that I started a relationship with somebody.
I think the restraining order was part of her defense as to why she didn't want to pay me back anymore.
I was ready to file bankruptcy, and he had offered.
The loan is still agreed upon and still needs to be repaid.
I think that that's a good lesson, that you can't use the court systems and restraining orders to get out of a loan that you have really no excuse for not paying except for you lost your job. And I just think it's tricky. I think that a lot of defendants come in here and think that they can just say, I didn't have the money and so I don't have to pay it. But that's not the case.
What's most interesting to me is these 800% or 500% or 100% interest-bearing loans.
I know, it's something.
Where did that come from?
It's something I've seen recently in the past couple of years. It seems like every online shopping venue now has some form of loan payment or loan offering or some.
Fred, Andrew Talon, for the cost of a car he wrecked during an accident.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2163, Raquel versus Talon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Rocco, this is basically what the case is about. You and the defendant were in a relationship. You have one child together. And it is your claim that some 3 years ago, he took your car with your permission. You were living together at the time. He took your car and had an accident.
Correct, yes.
And that was 3 years ago. And you want him to pay $5,000 on a car that Sarah has already checked, which is worth?
Between $1,400 and $3,000.
Which is worth a quarter of that. Do you understand?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I want you to forget about $5,000. So if he's responsible for anything for the car, he's responsible for what its value is, which is about $1,400. How long had you been living together when he borrowed the car?
About a year.
Okay. And was your child born during that time?
Yes.
What month and year was the child born?
August 2018.
When was the first time that you asked Mr. Talon for money for this car that had been in an accident?
After he was released from jail, he got arrested from a previous warrant at the scene of the accident, directly from the hospital. So when he was released from jail.
What was the date of the accident?
April 30th, 2019.
And how long were you held in jail, sir?
I believe June 11th or so, roughly almost 6 weeks.
What was the warrant for?
Domestic battery.
Against whom?
Against Eve.
Against her?
Against Eve. Yes, against her.
Well, you were living together. Did you file another complaint after the accident?
No, I didn't. There was a warrant from the initial complaint.
And what year was that?
2018.
But you remained living together and you had a child together. Why didn't you just withdraw that case?
I did withdraw it. I didn't realize that a warrant had been released until it was acted upon.
Well, when he was arrested and he was held in jail, he contacted you, correct?
Yes.
Of course he did, because he said, what's going on? We're living together. We have a child. What's this warrant for domestic battery?
It just took time for me to get it dismissed.
No. What I'm asking you is, he contacted you.
Yes.
And when he was released in June of 2019, where did he go to live?
He came back.
For what period of time?
About a month, maybe 2 months at the most.
And you lived together as a couple with the baby?
Yes.
And how old was the baby at the time?
He would have been about between 6 and 8 months off the top of my head.
And the two of you cared for him?
Yes.
And during that 2 or 3 month period, there was no discussion that you have in writing about paying back for the car?
Not in writing.
Not in writing?
Yeah.
Now, what happened after the 2 months?
He began exhibiting behaviors that were the behaviors of somebody who was using drugs. Again, he was clean for a long period of time, and his attitude changed, his behaviors changed, and I decided that it was time for him to go back to his mother's house.
And he did?
Correct, yes.
It was after a couple of months?
Yes.
So that would have been in maybe August or September. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in August or September. Did he continue to see?
To his mother's house for them to have visits together. His mother has always been a safe spot for them to visit.
And how long did you do that?
Up until recently. We're pretty much
recently, so you're talking about 19, 20, 21.
Yes.
Right? And
there was a period of time where, because he was living with his mother at first, there was a period of time where I didn't know where he was living. It made me uncomfortable that I was bringing my son, even though they were visiting at his mother's house. It made me uncomfortable that he wouldn't let me know an address for him, just in case anything happened, just in case, anything happened, basically. He didn't give me an address for me to find him or for me to know where Eden might be if anything were to happen.
So what I'm getting is, for 3 years after this accident, there was no request that you can demonstrate. Now, you weren't together, certainly, so for the last 2 years, you never went and filed claiming that he owed you money for the car.
So I did. Sorry.
Is that correct?
No, I did attempt to file several times, but I didn't have an address for him. I tried to file once for an address where he was at his mother's.
Do you have any proof of that?
I do not.
No. You continued to bring your son for visitation with his father.
Correct.
Which is a very easy thing to do. You're a smart enough gal. I'm gathering that. You bring a friend, you serve him personally with a summons and complaint. So the answer is, for 3 years, you did nothing. Now I'm going to find out why. After 3.5 years, you filed this complaint over a $1,400 car.
Eve Rocchio claims her ex-boyfriend, Andrew Talon, owes for totaling her car. Andrew is countersuing for emotional distress and attorney fees after Eve took their son.
Personally, with a summons and complaint. So the answer is, for 3 years, you did nothing. Now I'm going to find out why. After 3.5 years, you filed this complaint over a $1,400 car. Now, Mr. Talon says in his cross-complaint that there came a time when you left the state, the jurisdiction, that was the child's home state.
Yes.
And when did you leave the jurisdiction?
That was in September of 2021.
And you went from where to where?
We went from Florida. We stopped in South Carolina for a period of time. We had a little vacation before we had to go, because we were going to work. We were going to clear a property out for sale.
So you left the jurisdiction with the child?
Yes.
Prior to that, Mr. Talon had been seeing the child regularly at his mother's house.
Yes.
Did you tell him you were leaving?
Yes.
What did he say when you told him you were leaving?
He didn't really say anything. He just wanted to spend time with him, which he was, they did spend time together before we left.
Not before, after you left. You moved to New Jersey.
I didn't move. I didn't move to New Jersey.
What did you do?
So, like I said, we went there to liquidate a house that we have there. It took longer than expected.
How long?
It took about 5 months, 6 months. Things happened with the closing. Deals were made and fell through.
How long did you tell him you were going to be away?
I was only supposed to be away for 2 weeks.
That's a big deal, Miss Rockhill. That's a big deal.
It is.
Because if he says, I'm taking Eden for a 2-week vacation, if that's okay. I know you took him away. I'd like to take him away for a 2-week holiday. And he goes away for 6 months. Well, he's a parent just like you are. That's what the law says. The law says men, women treated just about equally when they have a child. If you said to him, I'm going away for 6 months, and he said, okay, well, then you agree to. But you said, we'll be away for 2 weeks. And it lasted longer.
Yes,
and during the time that it lasted longer, about 6 months longer than it was supposed to, what arrangements did you make for your son to see his father?
They had video calls regularly. I told him I would be back as soon as I could.
Just a second. So the answer is, you did not make any, because he has a counterclaim here.
Yes.
And his counterclaim is for the fact that you took the child out of the jurisdiction and deprived him of the ability to see the child. Subsequently, due to circumstances, and I'm not sure what that is, the child is no longer in your custody.
Temporary.
The child is no longer in your custody. The child is in the physical custody of the paternal grandmother. Is that correct? And that is by court order?
Yes.
The beginning of that process was made in what month and year?
July of 2022.
Was that a child protective proceeding?
It was, yes.
And I assume that if there was a child protective proceeding, that the court found that based upon whatever was alleged in the petition that was not brought by him, but by the Department of Social Services or Child Welfare Administration, they found that the child would be at risk in your custody.
Yes.
And as a result of that, they took the child into care. And this is all stuff, because I've been here. This is my bread and butter. Instead of placing the child in a strange foster home, they placed the child with the defendant's mother.
Correct.
For how long a period? 18 months?
Indefinite. There's no specified period of time. However,
well, if the court is placing a child through the state, unless you relinquish your parental rights, did you parental rights, or the court terminated your parental rights, they have to review this case periodically to see whether either one of you, as parents, are ready to assume custody of the child, right? So when is this case going to be reviewed?
I believe the next review is in February.
February of this year?
This year, correct, yes.
That's a reasonable answer, so that you do know. So that's the change in circumstance. Now, getting back, Ms. Rockhill, to what motivated you after 3 years, after you gave him permission to drive the car and he had an accident, and you made up this whole baloney story in your complaint that says, police arrested Andrew at the scene of the accident because I had previously filed a domestic abuse charge against him and there was a warrant. But you were living together during the time that there was this outstanding warrant. You were living together and conceived a child with him.
The child was already conceived. He was already born at the time of the domestic violence altercation. He was about
2018?
In the end of 2018, yes. He was born in August. The altercation happened in November. So he was very young.
But you reunited and were living together with him as a family.
Yes.
Right. The police arrested Andrew on a domestic abuse charge, and there was a warrant. When Andrew was released from jail, he disappeared.
So
that's what, just a second. That's what you say here. He disappeared. My car was fully paid off, and I had no liability insurance. Andrew refused to pay for my total car, and he refused to see our son. He moved and went into hiding. That's what you signed. That's your claims case against him several times, but could not find his current address. Well, that's not true. You knew exactly where he was until you moved out of the jurisdiction to New Jersey for 6 months, because he had been regularly seeing his son at his mother's house.
But he wasn't living at his mother's house.
It doesn't make any difference. That's not what you say here. He may not have been living there. He may not have wanted you to know where he was living.
He didn't, and that's
well,
why. So I
that's
filed
okay.
Against
he doesn't have to tell you where he's living. Unless a judge orders him, he doesn't have to tell you where he's living. You were having visitation at his mother's house. So all of this stuff after the accident is all a bunch of baloney.
Eve Rockhill has accused her ex-boyfriend, Andrew Talon, of totaling her car. Andrew claims Eve kept him from seeing their son.
You knew exactly where he was until you moved.
I didn't, though. He was not living at his mother's house at the time. That was just a place that he was visiting with Eden that I would bring him to.
Perfect. So you would set the terms of that, and the terms were that he could see the child even without a court order because he was his father and had lived with him after he got out of jail.
Yes.
Lived with him, which you don't say here. After he got out of jail.
But I didn't put that.
I don't think you have a case. He drove the car with your permission. You were living together as a couple. You have a child together. Your case is dismissed. Now, I want you to tell me, sir, you have a counterclaim for her kidnapping your son. She left the jurisdiction. You called Child Protective Services.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me when you called Child Protective Services, because that's the reason that this lawsuit came about.
The last time I saw him before she left to stay with him was September 19th. Me and my family, we went to SeaWorld, and she was supposed to meet me. She said when we dropped off that she was going to meet me in Tampa. And when I called her, she said that she was in Jacksonville. She lives in Ocala, so she was still 2 hours northeast of where she then argued. I took him home, and the house was just disgusting. Beer cans filled up in the trash cans. It just the living conditions were troubling.
Was there a neglect proceeding?
For this?
The baby.
I had an interview with the caseworker or the investigator initially.
Were you there in court when your mother was granted? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Was Miss Rockhill?
Yes, she was there too.
You see your son regularly?
Yes, ma'am.
So the period of time when you did not see him was a 6-month period, is that right?
That was the second time. Yeah, it happened the year prior. She did it before too, where she removed him from school. Since I moved home in 2019, we've shared custody periodically until she decides that she wants to take him and not allow me to see him or for whatever. I think it's a control thing. And this was the second time. My counterclaim is for the second time.
How long was the first time?
Roughly the same time, 5 months, 6 months.
Where did you go the first time?
I didn't go anywhere. I actually received a text from his mother, Angel, to come pick up Eden. Andrew was using drugs again, and come pick up Eden would be easiest to do it while he was at school to avoid potentially traumatizing Eden.
Did you send that email?
I did not send her an email, no.
Not a text message.
I sent her a text message.
Okay, just a second. You're his mother. Come. You sent her a text message. That's not something that she would make up because I'm going to ask to see it. She's going to show me. So did there come a time when you were concerned that your son was using drugs? That's either a yes or a no. Yes. And was it at that time that you suggested she come and pick up Eden?
I told her to pick him up from school. I didn't tell her to come pick up Eden and take off for 5 months. Yes.
He knew where to find me. I was at the same address. I didn't leave anywhere. He's known where we've lived the entire time. He could have come up and seen him. We could have met somewhere. I
don't know. You did, in fact, remove him the second time for 6 months.
The second time, yes. I not purposefully to keep him away from Andrew. We had business to attend to, and it ended up taking a lot longer than it
Now you see him.
should have.
Now you see him all the time. Is that right?
I live back at home again. Once this happened, because...
Just a second. So you live back at home with your mother?
Yes, I see him every day.
Since when?
I've been living back at home for, I think, roughly a month or so.
Where are you working?
I work for a solar company.
For how long?
I went to jail for DUI last year. I got out. That's why I'm having to do the case plan because of my DUI. That was in August 1st is when I started this job.
Okay, you working?
I am, yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a dental assistant.
Did you have a trial in the family court?
Not yet. We're still awaiting adjudication.
A full custody?
Yes.
But the child is with you under the auspices of Child Protective Services?
Yes, her trial is the 13th of February.
For the neglect case?
Yes.
Is that correct? You have a lawyer there?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. Your case against the respondent for the damage to the car 3 years ago is dismissed. Likewise is your action against her for attorney's fees, the custody. Are you appearing in that custody case?
I'm almost complete with my case plan. I will be there for that. Yes, ma'am.
Good. So I suggest we not say anything nasty about each other,
yes, ma'am.
Because there is always that strong probability that you're going to have to co-parent this child.
It's never been a problem in the past.
Good, very good. Case is dismissed. We're done.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I don't want to be a part of his life. I want him to have a part of his child's life, as I always have and have always done my best to make sure that he has.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I think she was just, maybe it was me not.
Unfortunately, circumstances arose that I wasn't expecting.
I feel like sometimes our son was used in a way to hurt me.
Things happened with the sale of the house and the closing of the house. Deals were dropped. We were just trying to get rid of it, and it took longer than expected.
It's hard to see the fighting and the, just the separation of the family.
I was just worried. I was in mom mode, and I was worried because I know what he's capable of. I've been exposed to him while he was exhibiting behaviors that would be damaging and traumatizing to Eden.
This is my past. I mean, it's true. I'm not the same person, but
I just want to be the best parent I can be.
I hope we can parent our son together.
Sarah, there are lots of tentacles in that case.
There were?
Yeah. But if you try to take all those tentacles that we really don't have jurisdiction over, I think that they said that custody is ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
If you remove all those tentacles, there was an accident 3 years ago. And despite the fact that she really knew where he was, where he could be served, because she regularly brought the child over to him, and he said that for a good part of that time she had 50-50 custody. Mm-hmm. She was perfectly comfortable with Eden staying with his paternal grandmother. Mm-hmm. Case was really about this car.
Yeah.
And he had an accident 3 years ago. They lived together, they slept together, they shared a child together. And now that he notified Child Protective Services of what he saw when he brought the child home, and she physically lost custody after an investigation, that's the motivation for filing this now.
Xin chào các bạn, đây là kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng bên màu cho bức tranh về một chiếc xe tải bán keo nhé. Chúng ta cùng bắt đầu chứ nào. Mình sẽ tô màu hồng vào phần keo. Phần bắt đầu sẽ tô màu này. Sẽ tô màu xanh vào thùng xi. Ông ơi, xuống bật lò vi sóng cho thịt chạy ra đi.
Gì?
Xuống bật lò vi sóng.
Bao giờ?
5 phút.